but he wants to choose hard. It's going to be that 50-50 here. You don't check him from up above, and he is going to rain. Now on the right angle, should be able to find the multi-kill, and there it is. Yeah, mops and all. Find himself falling. How about Matthew? Tap away. Here we go. The last couple of rounds will be this time too. Last play, multi-kill. Able to find up some triple kill action.
Hello everyone, this is the grand final day, and of course this one is gonna be really special. I'm gonna be your host for today alongside the wonderful and beautiful Volt. How you doing, man?
Look, I'm doing great. We've seen an amazing game yesterday. If you were here yesterday between Anubis and Nemesis, came down to the wire. 4 games that went one way, and then a decider that was an absolute mastery of, I guess, chaos and everything going wrong for both sides. But Nemesis were able to hold strong in the very end, and I feel like that's the most important thing. And yesterday I closed it off while I was next to Travis, saying that they are second best because they're coming from the lower bracket. Now, it is their chance to prove that they are the best. Of course, the familiar face of Vitality was always going to be waiting in the grand final. And I guess then this means that this rematch is going to be a special one.
Of course, and speaking about the rematch itself, like those teams have played against each other for a long time. Like the players knows each other, but the thing is, like Vitality got like a little bit of an extra weight when it comes to them playing together for 3 years, them being like the top dogs, and of course, them being in the consecutive fourth final in a row. And this one might be a record if they can find the missing pieces of the puzzle to close this championship. They will be written in history that those guys are the only team that have ever done it in fourth time in 2 years. And besides doing that, like they have been in the final for more than 4 times in a row.
Yeah, plenty of times that they were here, but unfortunately for them, I guess, just like teams like TEC in the distant past, it's never really been the case of whether or not they can make the final for this Nemesis team, at least ever since they are under that Nemesis banner. Also, when you think about Inner Circle last year, when they were also under that banner, like both times they were a decent team, a team that can definitely do damage, can go deep in the playoffs, but it really was always the question of can somebody threaten Vitality, and from what we've seen from Nemesis, they've been pushed to the brink by that Anubis side, as you can tell right there. It got to go to OT in the end of that one, all 5 maps in there. And unfortunately, just given some of the maps that we've seen on the day, maybe I'm a little bit worried of what actually is going to be the case for this season, right? Like, I'm thinking about the season, what could happen, what could go wrong, and realistically speaking, there is room for plenty, unfortunately, to go wrong in this specific veto when you think about the last game's result, right? At least that's what I'm thinking. I'm looking at that game. I'm looking at how close maps like the Port and Eagle Eye were. And Nemesis are going to be punished severely by Vitality in that field.
I agree. They're gonna get like a lot of hard time when they're playing versus a team that's very big and very known. And of course, speaking about the final, we have the trivia of today. The Nemesis, like they were close to getting knocked off from the lower bracket. They won 3-2, like full best of fives 2 times. One versus 3BL, and of course the other one versus Anubis. And now they are back here again to the grand final. And this time they're facing Vitality, the same team that they faced on the last grand final of season 1. I would say that. So when it comes to best of fives, when it comes to plays, everything is on the table. Like you have an open book, and I believe that the next chapter you really want to have your name on it, whether if you're a Vitality fan or a Nemesis fan. Like those guys, I would say they had a very rough season, kicking off the like playing the first game in this season, they lost.
Mhm.
They had a little bit of an upset on phase one, phase two. They started to fight back to trying to bring back the hope. They only won one game on
Mhm.
phase two, and when we came to the playoffs, they just fired up. They completely changed their face, their mental, everything. They put the early season on aside and they just went all in mood and they logged in the games. And of course, if we are speaking about games and speaking about things that really matters, we have the CFS points and of course the road to EWC that we already knew what team is gonna collect what place.
Probably.
Yeah, like at least for the most part, we kind of know most of the teams and where they are going to go. For 3BL, with their deeper run, there would be a world where maybe I understand correct because the result depends on the recency, right? So seasons two
Mm-hmm.
results are actually more important than season one, and there they're gonna have a good time in terms of their points and maybe where they actually are going to end up in terms of of course, CFS and the CFS qualifiers and everything. I believe that 3BL are logged in fifth place with the way that things have gone for them this season. So TECR, from what I do understand, guaranteed to go to the main event of the regional finals. And everybody else is going to go to the regional qualifiers. And that's where things are going to be a little bit interesting. But for us, we know that, hey, it's going to be 1 and 2 between Vitality and Nemesis. Last season, Vitality got the better of the Nemesis side. And I have a feeling that it might be the case again. And unfortunately, like Nemesis definitely have had a very good season in terms of their recovery from where the season started. But the season didn't start
Mm-hmm.
that well, right? You were talking about that result. They went 5-5 in phase 1 and 2, barely scraping by a fourth place. And I guess they're gonna be like not too fussed about the way that things have gone, right? They faced Unlights in
Sure.
their initial game, where Unlights didn't really show up. The lower bracket game was a bit better from Unlights, but still Nemesis definitely gave them a run for their money. And then two 5 mappers back to back in the lower bracket to make it to here. And to think that they were supposed to be the second best team coming into the season, it's a testament to their resilience, but resilience doesn't really cut it at the end of the day. And a team like Vitality just seems to be a notch above.
They have, and they have been for the most of the time. But to be honest, like I agree with you in certain things. For Nemesis, of course, they had a very, very tough road to be here in the grand final, but they made it. So anything is possible. If
Mm.
you grab a team that actually struggled in the phase one, phase two playoffs, they played tons of games to be here. Like you have that grinta, you have that passion to the game, and that never stops. That's it. Like if the passion ends, you are out of this equation, and I believe those guys are passionate as hell, and I believe also they are looking to be in Paris. Like they wanna see everything around. They want to be participating in more international events. And of course, our final game, the grand final between the most known players in the server. We have Vitality and Nemesis. And speaking of them, I believe we will be hitting shortly into a interview with two of our players for today. And here they are. Assalamu alaikum. How you doing, guys? First of all, how you doing, Snare?
Salam. I'm good.
Okay, thank you. And of course, how you doing, Alakert?
I'm fine.
All right, so guys, we are in the grand final. Like you've been here like for a long time. I believe both of you, you've played tons of finals. First of all, like this question for both of you, uh, what would you like to say, or like not like to say? How does it feel to be in the final and like taking like a very very long road and then like drop off? Like how does it really feel to be in that position? And I believe both of you were in this position for a long time, especially I believe once Snare was with Anubis. So I want to just start with you, Snare, in this one.
Yeah, it feels good to be in the finals again. And there is something that me and Alucard played against us each other like 5 finals. This is the 5th final we play against each other. He won 2, we won 2, and this is the finalist.
Hopefully, we'll
Yeah,
see
yeah,
a really
okay.
good result.
So that's good to hear on that part, but I'm just gonna try to keep it simple then in that fact. You know, Adelgard, last time you were here, you were saying, when Penguin was here as well, you're saying, oh, I don't really want the series to go long. I'm old now, you know, I'm not as young as I used to be. And we are just talking about that, right? You played 10 maps and 2 best of 5s back to back. Do you think it's gonna go all the way here today, or do you think it's gonna be as competitive as it were in the lowers, or do you think that maybe you can catch Snare and the rest of Vitality by storm?
I mean, to be honest, I mean, I said I'm not young anymore because when the matches go this close, you know, you win one map, the other team wins one map. It's just too much to take, you know. And I've been around for like so many years. I got like countless playoffs situations. So I mean, it's hard to take now, but you can never predict how series will go. It's like some teams start bad, some teams come back, you know. So it's you can never predict, and usually the matches against Vitality it has to go to the 5th map. You know, it's never ending fast for them or for us. So I think maybe today it will also be long. So I think I'm expecting a 5 map today.
Yeah, well, you're expecting
Mm.
that, and of course, Horace seems to be in a pretty good mood. So,
I heard that.
Snare,
I
you
heard
know,
his voice.
if
I
we
won't
are
lie.
going to 5 maps, what is the one map that you guys are just not really willing to settle on? Like, what is the one map that you're gonna be picking in today's veto? You're like, if we lose this, we're gonna be in trouble.
Is that question to me or to Snare?
No, no, to Snare.
Yeah,
Mm.
I don't see any map that, like you said, I
You're
think
going to
we can
lose.
win any map. Yep.
Mm.
We
I
have
like
like
the
6 maps
confidence.
that we can win against any team. Only one map, it's a little bit tricky, but the other 5 is good. 6, I mean.
Hmm. Hmm. All right, guys. So I have like a small game for you guys, for Snare and Alucard. So it goes like this. So you have two things. You you either pick a player from the enemy team to add him into your team or DC him. You have like a small game. Like, what's the player that you would love to have him on your team? Like, if you're playing in this grand final, like you're playing for Vitality to have a player from Nemesis to play with you, or you would like to DC him mid game. So I will start with Alucard. What's the player that you would love either DC him or add him into your team?
I mean, it would be the same guy for me. I would say Slayer. I would love
Oh,
to see him in my team, and I would love to see him DC. So, because he's usually the star of Vitality, so when he's gone, it's much easier for us.
all right, that's a good one. Snare.
I think it
Hmm.
would be Lipsy, because he's annoying a little bit.
Hmm. I mean, sometimes he get like some really good flanks, and he makes some
Yeah,
really big
big
goals,
highlights.
big, very big ones at the times.
Yeah.
Uh, of
Yeah, well,
course.
I
Go
mean,
ahead, Ryan.
guys, I'm just gonna keep it simple then. You know, we're talking about this. The record is 2-2. This is pretty much what, in wrestling terms, they call the rubber match. You know, the one to settle a rivalry, one that have gone for pretty much a couple of years. The two of you, of course, at times touted as the best sniper in the West League. So there's no better time to have a Mexican standoff between the two of you. Any final words before we settle everything on the server? And let's start with Snare and hear what the champion have to say to the channel.
Yeah, nothing to say. I hope we gonna play a good game.
I mean,
Okay, and
all right.
for Alucard, you know, like I guess a lot of sportsmanship from that side. You're willing to bring the fire. Do you think that you guys have what it takes this season to finally settle everything that previously Rock, now Vitality, that dynasty that they're building, or do you think that there's going to be a different element to how you guys are winning?
Well, I can't say for sure because today we're not playing with our main player Raffin. We're gonna play with Big Comics. So, but I can promise everyone that we will fight today, and let's see how it goes.
All right. So thank you guys for your time. Thank you, Snare. Thank you, Alucard. I'm gonna leave you to your teammates
Yeah.
to prep to get ready. The grand final is gonna be pretty far. Thank you for your time, and of course, see you on the field.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
See ya.
Thanks. Me and two snipers, two chill guys, and I noticed that most of the sniper players are just like, yeah, they're so chill, and they're not hyped like Horus. Like that guy is the front
Mhm.
entry for a reason, and we all have
Mhm.
seen that on the podcast. He's just like
Yeah, and it's
dancing
great that you're
around.
mentioning the entry players because Alucard, I guess, has dropped the bombshell for today. Raffin is not going to be here, and
Mhm,
well, Nemesis have had mixed results with big comics. You gotta say though, like it's not really his fault. Unfortunately, Raffin has had several of
mhm,
those, I guess, missed appearances. They're gonna have to play with big comics again, and unfortunately, I think that this might be the one. I already predicted Vitality before I even got to know that news. But even when I knew it, I was like, yeah, I think that I'm even more sure now that Vitality are
mhm,
going to be in a better position. Because if you looked at the game yesterday, it was really about like, hey, Big Wilson Dipsy, Alucard being consistent, and then Raffin also being the other person to supply the firepower. Yes, it ended at the hand of Comics with
mhm.
those two back-to-back clutches that he got in the end. But Raffin was a very important part of the machine, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to somehow make up for his absence today.
I agree with you. It's a bit sad to see that, but also that brings us to a nostalgia that happened on the finals on the upper bracket final last season when Nemesis played versus Vitality with Big Comics stepping in mid this
Mm,
series. He didn't even know that he's playing, he didn't know anything, he just stepped in, one game, then another, then they went to the grand final. So I mean, if you can bring the nostalgia, that's something. Statistically, I would say that Vitality should win. But like
mm,
with my heart, when you see the things add up, I would say that I would love to see them actually fire back versus Vitality. It's not gonna be an easy task anyway for both of them to play in the EWC. I would say rather if you're the first
mm,
place or the second place, you're gonna be playing versus like I would say a lot of big names, not only in the West, in
mm.
the entire world, and to have the chance to do it, we will see. So it's 50-50. It's 50-50. We'll,
Mhm.
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You say it's 50-50. To be fair, even walking into that one, full force Nemesis, I would have said it's like 60-40, maybe even 65-35. If you're talking about how at least the numbers are favoring the two sides. Yes, there is a team like 3BL that flared super early on in the season and then calmed off. A team like Anubis that ramped up into the playoffs, and you gotta give it over again. I was talking about the resilience, the stable level that we've seen from that side, and I guess well, all the credit is due to Nemesis and the kind of performance that they have had, and how much they were able to recover from the slower start. I think that this team that we can see on our screen is usually just too tough to handle most of the time for almost any team in the West. And unfortunately, I guess for Nemesis, they are really exposed. The game against Nemesis, the game against 3BL, those two have really pushed most of their strategies, and I don't know if they have much more to show in today's game. And that's going to be the important part because when you look at a team like Vitality, with the game that Snake has been calling, with Stray at the helm of this team, they are a team that can almost adapt to every single position. And you might not even have to adapt that much because the other side might not even have much more to show.
I I'm gonna also agree with you in this. Like having a stray on your back and like in the back of your side is very huge. That guy was something else back when he was playing, and he is a very big name in the region. Whether as a player, as a coach, he have done it all for Team Vitality, and before he even joined Vitality, he is a very big name. And of course, we have the face-offs. So actually, that's not the face-offs. That's the road for Team Vitality. The one versus Anubis. and versus Nemesis, of course, earlier on, and we are here for the rematch. And we'll have a lot of history for those guys. And I mean, when we speak about history, you have a lot to share those, and at least those players. And I really want to go back into a point that you mentioned, Vold, that those two games for Nemesis had drained them off of their strats and made everything viable and visible for the enemy team. But hear me out, like, you don't have to just trying to figure out something new. You can just play with your stuff and make it work as you have done it before a thousand time ago. So I believe it, like, yeah, sometimes you need to add strats, but on the other hand, you need to shoot. If you're not shooting, you're not winning. It's just like that.
Yeah, but hey, you know what? We've been given a lot of credit to Vitality. I feel like there's definitely a world where Nemesis can cause a shock. I don't know if you do remember or not, but as you can tell right there from the graphic that was right ahead of us, there was a time that Nemesis was able to best Vitality before. And maybe that time could actually be happening again today. Because if you do remember, Nemesis second place in that first season. They got a 3-0 against 3VL that have already 3-0'd LCK. And then they were able to just take that one and run it back to back against Vitality. But the problem for Vitality is, you know, when I'm looking at their side, yes, players like Snare and Slayer definitely put it in the numbers. And it's a significant uptick of a performance for Snake. But I'm looking at Horus, I'm looking at Tolton. Those guys have been having moments, but maybe they'll need a bit more stability from the rest of the team, because there are some maps that, for example, we can see Snare not go missing, because I feel like Snare barely ever goes missing, but he's going to be better than average, and better than average might not be enough against an Alucard. Better than average might not be enough against Dipsy on his day.
Yeah, of course. And for me, I have something like, I really don't know how Vitality plays. Like, I've watched them for these seasons and before I'm even part of the broadcast, but for me, it feels like they walk with the flow. I would say Vitality, I know how exactly they play. Not Vitality, Nemesis, I know exactly how they play. I see other teams, and Anubis, I know how they play. 3BL, I know how they play, but Vitality, they always just show up very strong and they just win it. And here is the point that I really would love to mention, but of course, after speaking about Snare's code, adapting to our opponent respawn will make the biggest impact, and that's their winning con. Exactly.
Yeah,
But he's just like that. They're just like that. They adapt, they change, and they play.
But that's pretty much, it has to be an IGL's mindset, right? Like, if you are an IGL, you just really need to hold on to stability in the team, right? And he has been always a stable force, and it's great when he's also able to frag on top. But maybe, you know, we've seen that a little bit from the side of Unlights, and that was a little bit of a funny spell. We were saying, hey, if Pietro's doing solid the fragging, something's going wrong for the team. But for Snake, his position is a little bit different, right? They get a lot more flexibility, especially, again, with Totson perhaps even adding a bit more to that initial firepower, right? And that's perhaps one of the things that I talked about a little bit, and I've had the pleasure of talking to Penguin on this desk about, is the little switch up that they had from Horus just being full-on dedicated entry 24/7. He does all the grunt work, to him having more freedom and then showing up with bigger highlights at times. But that has been at the expense of Todson. Maybe that is going to be a different case today. I really thought that was going to be the case with the way that Raffin has been playing for the team, and when you add as well Dipsy that plays on the extremities on the map. But hey, things are going to be different. Big Comic stepping in, no more Raffin. So then the question becomes, well, how things are going to function for this Nemesis team, because I'm a little bit wary when I'm thinking about that team, and I'm thinking, okay, well, what are they going to do without their hard entry?
They don't have like their front entry no more. Like, Raffin is out of the picture, but they have big comics. That guy is usually a sniper player, but he adapts to play as a rifler, do whatever he needs. Not whatever he needs, whatever the role that they're missing needs. So I see them actually doing that a lot on Nemesis, because Big Comics actually had a lot of time to play with the team, so you need to adapt to that, and they actually did in phase 2 once Big Comics like played a full week instead of Raffin, so they might be knowing what they're doing. Big Comics usually send him as a front entry, or let's say just a bait. He's the bait. Like when you have someone that grabs you information, like wherever, like if you can get a pick, it's fine. If you can't, we understand that's not your rule. And on the other times, when you need to play with double sniper, you just put him as your secondary sniper and you change your whole formation. And also,
Mm.
they have some really good formation, especially on like there is some maps they play with three snipers, so I believe you can just fill him in that. And I believe maybe Ankara or Port, like they played in both maps with
Mhm.
triple sniper.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least for me, we are kind of aware of where things will not go, right? I feel like every clan that Vitality have played against this Nemesis team, it has been one of two bans. They either take away Compound, or in this season, they've been pretty adamant about not letting Black Widow pass through the veto. And we'll have to wait and see how things do actually go from that side. But for the side of Nemesis, as you can tell right there, 2 wins against Unlights, of course, the loss to Vitality, and then the win that they have had in the rest of the Royal bracket when you're thinking about it, against teams like CFWL on the 5 maps, against teams like Anubis also on the 5 maps. So they've had a ton of reps. And that could be a scary factor, because I believe that Vitality have only played, what, 2 best of 5s, 6 maps total. So that could be the only one knock on Vitality, is that they didn't get to play as much as Nemesis. And while, yes, there's definitely a negative part of your strats being more known and easier to counter, if Vitality, and I'm pretty sure that Vitality have done their work on those demos and studied how they like to play on the side of Nemesis and are going to counter them, but that is going to be the difference, right? That, hey, maybe they're not going to be starting as sharp, and that can be the case for Vitality a little bit. At least that was the case that I did feel like.
Hold on a minute,
At least
folks.
initially.
I'm sorry.
On the first map, like I'm thinking about the first best of 5 that was on the 19th.
The first best of 5? Are you kidding me? Not only the first best of 5. Every first game for Vitality, we go back to the circus, we watch a full show, and then they're just like, yeah, that was just the first game. Like, you know how it is, and they just bring back the big guns and they win. Like that's
That hasn't been the
how
case this
Vitality
season, though.
operate.
That hasn't been the
Exactly.
case this season, though. Like, no, but I'm serious though. Like, they were playing against Nemesis, right? In the first best of 5, they were able to win the port, and port was map 1. They were playing against Anubis, and they were able to win subbase and Ankara in maps 1 and 2. So this is actually the season that I'm going to say, yeah, not really the case for Vitality. For me, Vitality's biggest worry is going to be maps 2 and 3. If they're able to bring the same level of heat that they bring off the get-go, then things can be a lot more interesting. But, you know, back for Nemesis here, back for the discussion at hand. Of course, you know, I was talking about Alucard, about how he's going to be one of the bigger factors for the team. Dipsy, as you can tell, maybe not the highest in KD, but still very, like, you considering the positions that he likes to play, positions that do carry a significant amount of risk. He has a good amount of kills per round, and he definitely does his own bits and pieces then and there. But, you know, looking at the rating, Big Comics, of course, maybe not really up to the same level as the rest of the team. He's supposed to be like their coach-ish. He's supposed to be helping the team. He's supposed to be like, sure, a part of the system, but never really a primary cog. And unfortunately for him, he has such a massive shoes to fill. But maybe that is going to be the element that is going to allow both Comics and Dipsy to be active at the same time. Because Raffin eats up a little bit more of the resources. And if there's ever a world where maybe both Dipsy and Comics can be active, is where Big Comics basically does all of the heavy lifting in terms of, you know, he's going to play the worst positions, he's going to set him up, he's going to allow himself to be
True.
baited and do all of that stuff.
Yeah, true. He's always filling in this category, but also, like, not only this, he plays his role, but that's for big comics. And for Beck, he got like a small quote here. The team that adapts quick has the greater impact. And yeah, I agree with you, man. You have been like one of the teams that adapts in some situations. Not most of the times, I would say, but um, I would say they have their classic picks and bans. They have their classic maps, but on like some certain factors, I believe that Nemesis they really need to improve, especially in their map pool, since you're going to play versus some very big names. And speaking of Nemesis, they usually have a certain way to go when it comes to picking and banning in the map V2, especially New Mexico. New Mexico in the semifinal they banned it, and most of their playoffs bams they just take it away. I believe they did it on their first time game versus Vitality. They did it versus Knights. They did it on each and every game, and even versus teams that don't really play New Mexico. So that's something they need to figure out in the. Ouch! I'm sorry. I just like stumbled on the predictions, but like yeah, that's something they need to figure out. And when it comes to predictions, yeah, I believe that Nemesis can bring us to game 4.
It makes a lot of sense. I don't. Here's the thing. With Raffen,
Okay.
I would have even said, hey, maybe there's a world where they can take it to game 5. But with this change, everything is on the table. This is going to be fully random, to be honest. Yeah, definitely Vitality is even more favored in that position, but there's even more variance, and variance can be one of the things that could actually be a detriment to Vitality because we're talking about the studying, the demos, blah blah blah. But what if all that changes? What if Beck is like, hey guys, let's just forget everything that we've done with Raffen. Let's just run back some old strats maybe that we've had. Maybe Beck Comics have also like had some of his own ideas that that's also another part of the game. It's not just the IGL just chiming in for ideas. Some of the times you would hear people, especially if you're playing a sniper, you're playing a position that is a pace setter, you are important in two facets. One is relaying information, and two is making some of the secondary calls. And that is going to be so important on the GR side, a side that I think that Beck is probably going to have a lot more space to breathe, because not just is Big Comics going to play some of the worst positions, I do believe that he's also experienced enough and he knows about the game enough that maybe he's going to allow Beck to only have to worry about one half of the map, maybe 2/3 of the map, and then the other third, he's going to say, hey, I can make the calls. I can basically allow everybody else to focus on just shooting.
He does that to certain points, and of course, I wanna say also other things about Nemesis and on how they really operate with the big comics. And I'm gonna take you back to some of the maps that we have seen, and of course in the grand final, not the grand final, in the upper bracket final last season. A lot of things I would love to mention, but before that, we will talk a little bit about the map Vito. Of course, Black Widow is not Vitality's best shoes, I would say that, and we have heard Snare talking about that. Like they have like some really good maps, and other that they're not their favorite. And I believe that New Mexico is one of their favorite maps. Subbase will be the go-to, their homeland. New compound, Eagle Eye, and Karan. I like this best of 5.
I mean,
like
it was always going to be
this,
like one of
games.
two ways, right? Vitality has been just banning the Black Widow every single time against Nemesis this season. Last season it was the compound. And funnily enough, Nemesis were very willing to actually play the Ankara earlier in the earlier span of the season, in Season 1, and even in the upper bracket semi. But it's going to be a different base, right? I think that sub-base first makes a whole lot of sense for Vitality and what maps they're good on. I think that also for them, choosing the Eagle Eye over the port makes a lot of sense. The question then becomes, what kind of Nemesis are we going to see on that new compound? Because if you've seen the last couple of new compounds, you know that at least against Anubis, they were absolutely dominant. But the new compound against 3BL was really difficult. It was a 13-12 win. That, to be fair, it was in the hands of 3BL to win. Like, hey, 3BL should have actually won that compound. but some ridiculous individual play from people like Dipsy, from people like Alucard, definitely put the game back in the bag for Nemesis. And from winning that new compound, they're able to weather the storm on Black Widow. But that's not going to be the case today. We talked about New Mexico. It has always been the ban of Nemesis up against Vitality because Nemesis just do not play the map. It's their permaban. So then
True.
the question becomes, well, Ankara v Port. That I feel like that's really the big question mark, right? Both
Mm.
teams are very good on Port. I think it makes sense for it to be the decider. So then Nemesis are banking on the fact that they played such a good compound yesterday, and they're going to be able to replicate that. At least that's what they assume.
Oh, that's of course. I would say they have a good new compound, but also keep in mind that Vitality actually uh, play new compound. I would say it's not their favorite. The sub is, of course, it's better. Eagle Eye and going back to the Ankara position here, I believe that Ankara might be the final game of the map. And I want to get more about Ankara. You have like very basic strats that Nemesis follow. Of course, playing with their sniper, basically the guy that goes from the spawn, trying to play some catches, trying to hold mid and play. It's either mid to A or like trying to play mid to B. They at some points play with. I'm speaking, of course, if they're playing as GR side. They have or not GR side. I was talking about Blacklist. Oh my god. My mind is just like shifting away in a very fast pace. But of course, anyways, like they have always some bits and pieces to play with, and they play with like the two snipers, one that opens the advantage and the other guy that tries to go in want to play up front and the other guy who's playing very passive. And of course you're depending on Horus to open spaces. Tadzin is the guy to follow up, and of course you have Snake to be just looking to be the third guy, or like the guy who just goes to play alone. He's either looking to stop flanks or actually be the flanker to just readjust and reshuffle everything. And if we got to that position, if we got to the fourth map, I believe that we might see something happen in Ankara, especially. But going back to sub base, since this is gonna be the first map that we will watch today, wood doors. It's always about wood doors, wood doors, wood doors.
Actually, I'm going to say it's not going to be about that this time around. For one very simple reason. Nemesis
Okay.
starting on the blacklist side, okay? And I think that they started on that BL side for a purpose.
Hmm.
They know how to perhaps break one of the weaknesses of this Vitality team at times, which has been the connector fights. Yes, wood doors is going to be a factor, but it's really going to be about that vent lurk. And that is going to be such an important power
Hmm.
position. We've seen Nemesis do pretty well on that at times, but then again, you gotta remember like Vitality in playoffs, in this sub base. I believe what 10-3 against this Nemesis, and they went 10-4 if I'm not mistaken against Anubis. So two very good results. I was expecting Nemesis to put up more of a fight, but to be fair, I think it should be a foregone conclusion. And I was talking to the lads earlier in the interview about how one map should be a non-negotiable. This is the non-negotiable map for Vitality. If they lose here, they'll be really worried about what is to come in the rest of the veto. But for what we have, what we know, should be a pretty
Hmm.
easy time for them. And that's one of the things that I was talking about. Why I said it's not going to be about wooden doors, because if it was, I think if I am actually on the side of Nemesis, I would have started Global Risk. I would have said, "Hey, Alucard, you're a massive player. You can be the sentry that can lock down that angle on himself, just like Spoxy does for the TEC side." But that's not what they decided to play for. They decided to play on the blacklist, and I feel like it fits that big comics position, right? Where you got one new
Hmm.
player on the team, he's going to be another part of the entry pack. So you don't need to rely on him individually as much. You can rely on the trades, you can rely on the good fundamentals of everybody else. And that at least can mitigate some of the problems with that emergency substitution they've had to make.
That's some really big words, I would say. And of course, while we're talking, I was like, yeah, that actually makes sense. I would love to see how they will figure out to play in that department, of course. And that brings the eye to other stuff. And that's for Nemesis. I have like other things to talk about on Vitality, especially. Me and Penguin were mentioning like a couple of days ago that they always have their bits and pieces that they don't figure out in the first game. Like, yeah, they're running the playoffs, they have a really good start in the first game, but whenever it's sub base, I don't know, like on the record for this season, I'm speaking about phase one, phase two, yada yada, everything, it's either they're going for distant overtime or they're losing. I'm speaking about for the whole season on sub base, no other map, so they have always been in that choose. I believe that they won't be having like the same issues anymore, but of course, like you might have some issues, you might have some playstyles, you might have some lot of
Mhm.
stuff to work with, and those guys, as we mentioned earlier, they know how to adapt. Like
Yeah.
I believe like at some times like I lost the track of their play style, but other than this, they have like some
Of
certain
who? Of
plays
Nemesis?
that they don't. Of course, now I'm speaking about vitality.
Oh,
They are really good when it comes to adapting. They are
here's the
just
thing.
like
Here's the thing.
the
Like
masterpiece.
if you're a
Okay,
team like Vitality, you got like three different layers of play that you can make, right? There's
true.
the old faithful, I guess is what I like to call it. It's like just what they've done last year. Hey, Horus, go open up for us. We got Snake behind you. We got Tozen behind you on the flank, and we can just play the textbook
Hmm.
Crossfire, which I feel like they've realized, hey, this is working really well domestically. It's going to net us really good results, but we cannot rely on just that alone in terms of international play. Because if you're thinking about
Hmm.
international play, there's going to be a lot more variables at play, and those variables are going to be here, right now. The grand finals is about to ensue, and we're going to give it over to Kyle and Draft to kick things off. So, lads, let's have a cracker, shall we?
All right, it's going to be an interesting one here today, Trav. Like they mentioned on the desk, no Raffin in the grand finals, going to make it an even harder uphill battle, I think, today for Nemesis. They already had their work cut out for them, but I think this is going to be quite the challenge, especially Vitality. I mean, season one, they had their shaky moments, but season two, they've really been on a tear.
Yeah, it's a shame as well. It makes me kind of sad that we're not going to get a proper final really here. I mean, look, Big Comics has had his moments. He's had his moments of winning games, kind of by himself, actually, historically, in big playoff games. He's really stepped up, but Raffin's done so much good work over the course of the playoffs in particular. Yesterday was just that incredible game against Anubis. I mean, crazy comeback. Maps going ways we never thought they would go. They come back from 9-4 behind for Anubis. They put it back to overtime. Then them going 12-10 up with 2 chances to win the entire thing and be here today. But Nemesis managed to claw it through. And once again, it was Raffin doing a lot of that good work in some of those rounds where he was very aggressive, especially on Eagle Eye. So yeah, that's a shame for Nemesis for sure. I'm not holding out that much hope for them because of this situation. Vitality, defending champions for a reason and have been multiple seasons in a row. So, yeah, it just makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, as you can see here too, the first map stats a bit interesting considering they do have a really good win percentage on the GR side. Still only a 50% win rate for Vitality on this map. I will say they are a little bit more inconsistent on it, but when it comes to them starting on the defense today, I think it's only going to help them in a series like this. I think the one benefit though, if you're Nemesis in this position, is I feel like they are going to play a little bit more loose, which sometimes when going up against a really structured team like Vitality can play to your advantage. I don't know necessarily on subbase if that'll be the case, but if you look at other maps in the pool, particularly Compound, I think could be a really good one for them in this series, considering when teams play looser on that map, they tend to be a little bit better, especially on the BL side. So I wouldn't say they're down and out just yet, but I am curious to see what kind of strategies they're going to bring to the table without Raffin in the mix, because Raffin, he's really one of their key entry players. He's the one I always see kind of fearless and not afraid to take that first step for Nemesis, and somebody's going to have to step in and fill those shoes today a little bit to make sure things continue to go in the right direction for them. But for Vitality, I feel like it's just going to be a really comfortable one for them. I don't think they have any fear in their mind. And the one benefit both of these teams have, Trav, is they've both qualified for EWC as well. So it does take a little bit of that edge off too.
Yeah, exactly. That's the main thing. I think we were talking about that yesterday with that game, that crazy lower bracket game with Anubis versus Nemesis, right? I mean, pressure seemed very much off in that 5th map, right? It went to the golden round, as I was talking about. It went to that 13-12, from 9-4 to 9-9, from 12-10 to 13-12. The back and forth in that game and how aggressive Anubis played it was absolutely stunning. I mean, it was kind of took me aback by how much they pushed tower on Eagle Eye and how much 3 rounds in a row at one point, which was just ridiculous. You never see it. Usually you see some variation, not that much aggression constantly. So yeah, pretty fascinating. But for Vitality today, as you say, it should be a bit of a walk in the park. But should in a grand final in particular is always a very strong word. So let's see how it goes. We're underway finally on sub base coming in here. And it will be Nemesis, of course, on the BL side, Vitality on the GR side, to see who gets off to the best start in this grand final.
Yeah, starting this one off, it is going to be Nemesis playing it pretty slow on the approach. Dipsy sneaking up to the top of the A staircase, but no forward control for the Nemesis squad just yet. You can see them kind of toying with this fake over towards the B lockers. They're going to send Big Comics in to make his presence known, but not necessarily indicate where they're going to take the bomb. They do have to worry about Horus, though, playing pretty far forward on the lower A staircase when this final push comes through. You can see them starting to ramp up for it, but it might actually be a pinch over towards the bomb site. Slayer, though, knows exactly what's up here, getting a ton of damage through the doors. He's able to find one already. Totson takes down Big Comics. The flick around from Snare as well to find that lurk on Beck. Means there's not a lot to do here for them to quickly here. Alucard caught behind the box. Dipsy, not a whole lot you can do. Slayer just through the smoke, mowing them down to kick it off.
Yeah, and the big question mark over the course of the entire day, only 1 kill there for Dipsy in that round for Nemesis, is how much impact Big Comics can actually have. How long did the players know that they were going to be playing with Big Comics? We heard it from the pre-game, from Alucard. But, were they notified yesterday? Was Big Comics given a lot of time to maybe put some warm-up in and get some practice in? Of course, he's always been on hand to help Nemesis in any given situation, and he's been on hand throughout the entire season to fill in for Raffin multiple times. Not just last season, but this season too. So I'm sure he's been trying to keep playing, but still at the same time, if he's thrust into those tough roles, always very, very difficult for him, especially when they switch over to GR. I think last time I watched him play on Subbase, he was playing the A-bomb site and got kind of run over multiple occasions. So not an easy position for the entire team. And already good face. Snake can get run down though. Comics with a good catch, but Totson and Snare will keep the advantage intact, and the HP on Beck does not really bode too well.
Yeah, a bit of a tough one now here for Vitality. A bit shaky on the hold, but Horus making the right decision here. Instead of playing the A anchor by himself, immediately groups up with his teammates. I do really like that play call here. Snare as well seems to know that Alucard is going to be on the lurk. The timing, though, how does he get away with still pulling the pistol back out? That is going to be a huge kill going down against Nemesis now. Back Dipsy really has to find the weight of this round here and carry it through. Already good for a first there on to Snare, but Beck, he's definitely wondering what's going on here. The boost in defense, though, does Slayer know? There's going to be a player right behind him here. It's going to be some tricky timing, but Horus still in a really good position to potentially stall this one if it goes to the full rotation. Instead, though, Nemesis making their way onto the lower A bomb site. Bomb in hand for Beck. They should be able to get this one down uncontested, but Vitality will be at the slight advantage on the retake with HP.
Yeah, Beck's managed to survive for all this time on this low HP. Not bad considering. Horus is now going to get ready to peek down. And if he does go aggressive on this position, it will be Beck to try and catch him. But Dipsy's got a very good angle here to hold off against Slayer. But now Slayer knows he's there. Maybe he can pre-fire him. That's exactly what happens. As soon as he manages to fill out that position and figures out Dipsy's in that exact area, he takes it with ease. And Beck did go down with these two. So Vitality always had the advantage in that round, whether it was by health or by numbers. And they will eventually close it to make it 2-0.
Yeah, just a really clean retake. I think a lot of it just goes down there to Horus, playing the positioning game perfectly, not trying to solo anchor when he doesn't need to, and that early call for the rotation. Comics not going to stand a chance as well on that solo push into the lower A bomb side. Alucard as well, caught out. Snake kind of fearless there on the A-doors push. Really not much contest here on the other side from Nemesis. Just kind of playing it one player at a time. Not what you want to see if you're a Nemesis fan, but finally a sense of hope in the round here. Snare goes down, Beck with a nice one, but it's still not nice enough just yet. 4-on-3 situation. Dipsy trying to force the issue, able to find himself a nice little tap on the Totson to equalize for the moment, but now they've got to make the important decision of where they take this one, and this is where Big Comics has to show what he can do in the round. He hasn't really had a high-stakes situation that he's had to handle for Nemesis so far, but this is a round where he needs to at least guarantee one before going down.
Oh, that's a lovely little pre-fire from Dipsy though. Slayer does go for the kill and gets caught. The Horus again, ever reliable. Bring it back into the 2v2. Ready for more as well. Bomb is not picked up by either of the two Nemesis players yet either. They're kind of just looking for the kills. Look how far away these two players are from that C4. Sek should have Dipsy dead to rights now, and he will. C4 or even further away from Beck now as he's on B without it. And it's almost like they didn't realise they didn't have it because they managed to find their way onto the side, but no positioning. Finally, Beck will trade Snake. He took a very long time to make that happen, but wanted to make doubly sure it was a dead cert and he wasn't looking toward that position in the long term. So he'll catch him looking the wrong way, and it'll be a Beck versus Horus 1v1. And how many times have we seen Beck pull off rounds like this when absolutely needed for his team? And how many times have we seen Horus do exactly the same thing? Horus in grand finals is often a different beast.
Yeah, unfortunately for Beck, though, the C4 had to be on the other side of the map. Now he's only got 15 seconds to make this play in towards the A bomb site. Horus, he's going to go ahead and full clear B. Knows the bomb is likely going down to the A bomb site at this point on the round timer. Beck, he really can't full clear the upper bomb site, so Horus has a chance to catch him right after the plant. Beck, though, is going to throw the utility to try and stall, but Horus, he's already down, misses the first shots, though. Now Beck has the opportunity to win the round back, and that's exactly what he's going to do. A big clutch going the way of Nemesis, and a step closer to tying this one up early.
Yeah, really, really important one to grab, just to feel like they're in the game early. If they went down in another close round like that, 2v3, 1v1s, it would be very painful for them. I do wonder at what point as well for Nemesis, considering this their standing situation all over again, no matter how comfortable they are playing with Big Comics, when are they going to start throwing more gimmicky things in? Because they've only managed to scrounge 1v1 so far, and the rounds might be close, but Vitality always seems to be getting clean starts to them early doors. So when are they going to try and go for more gimmicky plays? When are they going to try and just throw something different, something faster into Vitality's face and see how they deal with it? Here Beck is trying to push forward. He knows Toxin's in his corner, but Toxin is faster, way faster. With that HK, there's another one. They're picking one by one right now. Could be a Toxin moment. He's going to get all four of them like it's nothing.
Yeah, that's just a tough one there from Nemesis, but it's an issue they've been having all game long so far, not really proper trade spacing, and that's a moment where it really just punishes you full force for doing so. Now Dipsy, the world on his shoulders in this one, not really much he's going to be able to do. Snare with a nice little drop-down shot out of the vent, gives Vitality a nicer lead again to work with, and this is where Nemesis really has to be a little bit more careful on the approach, at least able to secure these trades, because look at the replay here from Watson. One at a time, nobody even slides in for that first trade. This is where in most situations another team backs off, but again, one by one, and that's where you've got to question the gameplay today a little bit.
Yeah, when they 1v1 push like that, 1x1 push like that, you give too much opportunity for the quality of players and Vitality to keep making moves like that. But that's a good pick from Alucard, and that's something I've always been mentioning. Maybe a little bit defensive sometimes. In these rounds, we just see him going for opening kills, going for these opening fights like maybe other snipers would do in the league. Sometimes he can sit back a little bit. I think he knows today that he's going to have to be that guy when they're playing with Big Comics and with a stand-in. So nice opening. Horus will be caught already on the stairs.
Yeah, for Nemesis, it's a unique position to be in for them. They haven't found the early lead any other rounds so far, really. So for them to lose this one would be a bit devastating, considering The scoreline already on the table, but the problem here is they don't seem too keen on taking any map control with the advantage they've created. They opened up the A bomb site completely. Now, though, Big Comics and Beck able to find Totson together here on that B staircase. Now they should have that opportunity to go for the pinch play, but look at Vitality here. They haven't got scared at all. Nobody rotates to take Horus's spot. They know the B hit's coming. It's Slayer. He's just going to be completely overwhelmed here in the rafters of B. Dipsy able to take down Snare and Snake. He's done some amazing things before, but a 1v5 surely not on the cards this time around. Nemesis finding themselves a nice second round.
Yeah, that's very nice to have, especially after what went down in the round before. Much, much cleaner for them. Stuck to a plan. Worked out. Shows that they're here to fight in this grand final. Of course, that can sometimes be a factor in a map 1, right? Vitality have known to drop the odd map 1 here and there. And who knows how it will pan out throughout the rest of the series. Map 1 and the BO5 always sometimes being a bit of an unknown as players warm up into playing each other. Quick 1-for-1 in this round. Big Comics will drop early again. Unfortunately, fragless for him so far. And Horus down 2 though, so at least the trade was available and we're going to keep it in the 4v4.
Yeah, now for Nemesis, they've got to make their move a player down, but at least Horus out of the picture does help. There's going to be that hesitation now and putting an extra player over towards A, making the B a bit weaker for the rest of the round, but Nemesis, keen to that, wants to start moving in on the B bomb side. Alucard, though, still looking to maybe find another lurk and grab that extra kill, but Vitality playing this one nice and patient, not really overextending too much. Totson, though, moving back into this corner pocket. He likes to play outside the B control room. The rest of Nemesis, though, grouping up slowly for a split towards the B bomb side. You can see the C4 now working its way back into mid. But Totson, I like the change in approach here, playing a little bit more forward on the rafters, but he still has a fall off where he can call for Slayer to trade through here.
Yeah, still haven't made a total decision yet, though. I think the bomb going back to A will be their call eventually, but the thing is, Comics has gone very, very early there. They were trying to take space, and now, with him not being able to do so, I think the C4 will have to go back to B. The amount of progress that Alucard has made into the bomb site. It's a lovely kill for Totson. That will change things now. It will give him a little bit of an opening. Get that bomb all the way through. Slayer does go 1-for-1. It's a good removal to find Alucard, but Beck is there once again. Dipsy on that line, pushing forward. Very aggressive. Very nice. Now Snake needs to clutch. Not going to be able to do it. Good moves from Nemesis there. Despite losing Comics early, that was a little bit of a fake. It was a bit of a feeler push down toward A. And they already had progress up toward B. And it worked out in the end.
Yeah, honestly, not too bad of an approach. Dipsy starting to hit the shots. Beck as well. Really making sure they can keep this one close. And this time, though, Dipsy almost runs into trouble. Snare with the shoulder shot takes him down to about 16 HP here for the remainder to work with. So at this point, Vitality with a slight advantage on this A-long exchange. And you can see here, they want to take this re-engage. They have a chance on the smoke, and it's going to be Alucard who actually goes down first. It's taking a lot of damage. Not what you want to see to start off this round. Vitality, one of their cleanest starts here in the last couple of rounds, and it's a shame because I did like Alucard's approach the previous 2 rounds of almost allowing another player to take space and guaranteeing that first trade to go Nemesis' way, and they kind of lose that flair now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Snake is wanting to maybe push a little bit further forward, but he's only jump spotting that position right now. And I think Nemesis might go back to what worked in the previous round and just hope that the setup for Vitality isn't as strong. Little do they know, unfortunately, that Vitality, with it being a 5v4, just have a very, very strong T-bomb site here. Snare's angle gets peaked past the position he's holding, so he doesn't able to get that one, but as I said, there's so many players on the site itself, and in the quick rotation too, it's basically like having 4 players on the site. So you're not going to be breaking through that, and it's a very, very easy read for Vitality to get back into the lead again.
Yeah, honestly, one of their cleaner rounds, but Nemesis, you got to give them credit as well. I mean, it's been a very close match, especially considering find his first. So for Nemesis, they're really holding their own here, and in this round especially, they're able to find a nice set to open it up. Horus trying to spoil a little bit though. The 2v5 actually pretty winnable for Snare if he can find a way to continue to isolate these fights. The problem here though is he's somewhat stuck in this corner, put himself in a bit of a predicament with that positioning choice. He has to try and maybe sneak out into the backside of mid. There's just no way out of this one. Comics able to hunt him down, and Vitality again kind of dropping the ball on that B control room fight. They started out 3-0, losing those 1v1 aim duels on the team fight, and unfortunately for Vitality, the early aggression just not really working out too well.
You know, we haven't seen that many aggressive door fights either, like we're seeing here for Snare. It's been a bit of a lesser used part of the map early for Nemesis. They've been very focused on going just through the regular choke points, trying to avoid that in general. That's what they're going to be doing again here, back toward B main. Utility primed as well. Dipsy on the angle, so could be a little bit of bother when they set the ball through toward him. That's a distraction that is going to be attempted to get Nemesis into the site properly, but it's not working this time again. Slayer, what a hold. 4 kills for Slayer. That is glorious. Another example of just a Vitality player going above and beyond in a certain position. We've seen Totsin with a quad kill. We've seen Slayer now with a quad kill as well. And that B-bomb site has been very much locked down for Vitality in that half.
Yeah, 5-4. Definitely not a bad way to close it out, especially when you think of the difference here on this second half. It's one thing on the BL side to have a player that's not as familiar. I feel like it's a little bit easier, though, to bring a new player into the BL side. They can kind of just roll with the pack. But now you've got to see where Big Comics is going to play, where he has to hold a little bit more solo on this BL side. And that is where I worry a little bit more for Nemesis in this position. They're going to be able to figure out where Big Comics is playing and maybe have a chance to start abusing that position. And it does seem like at the very least they are going to put him in a position where he has some decent support nearby. He's just playing the safe room here on the back of the B-bomb side. Vitality, though, seems to have an idea where he might be hiding, because they're going to be going full force into this B-bomb site, though. Big Comics and Alucard able to hold the line pretty decently. A nice double kill. The triple kill not quite going to connect here, but it's not going to matter. The rest of Nemesis able to swoop in. Totsim last alive, just stuck in the L turn, and Big Comics steps up. He's able to put his first 3 on the board all in one round here to get his team to the tie.
I'm very impressed with Nemesis. I think they're doing a really, really good job at the moment. Like, you know, Big Comics only got 3 kills, but he's improved a little bit in the last couple of rounds. You know, so they've got lots of experience playing with him. It's not like it's an unknown stand-in. He's been filling for Raffin quite a lot. Now on the secondary sniper, of course, on the second half, could prove to still be a big factor. You'd still favour Vitality from here, but still. Very happy that Nemesis are contending acceptably here.
At this point, though, it is going to be a bit of a slower pace. Vitality, now knowing where all these players are going to be sitting, they're going to be playing for the picks now, one by one, isolating pretty well so far. Beck going to be looking for that opportunity next time around because he goes down early, but Alucard, the first to find one for Nemesis on this one. Snake, though, kind of gifted that one from Dipsy, getting a bit over eager on the A stairs. Alucard now knows he needs to try and make a play. The problem here is going to be slow in that position, stalling, but Alucard, really good awareness there. Will turn out just in time to make sure that doesn't go too far out of reach. Comics, though, in the key position for the retake, has to go through the A stairs. Snake, though, has the bait and switch already set up with Horus to try and slow this one down, and it should be pretty much a tough brick wall to get through. They spot him early. Now they know they don't need to be too aggressive either. Comics, he's going to be trying to run all the way around to the upper A control room. This is going to be a really dangerous retake now for both Alucard and Comics. 15 seconds, both have to go swarming down from above, and unfortunately, it's only going to be a one-traded kill for Nemesis, but Vitality answering back nicely in this one.
This is very much a very common pattern with opening map Vitality in BO5s or BO3. So just enough to stay ahead, nothing crazy, You're in a game where you maybe would expect them to stomp and really ramp up when it's a grand final. I think credit needs to go to Nemesis, and we'll also need to realise that it's a bit of both. Vitality a little bit quieter than maybe they often look, but overall, you have the two players you want to see play well in Slayer and Snare doing excellent work. So more of that, and they can maybe streak clear in the second half now. 1 round lead once again, keeping Nemesis at finger's length. Totson looking to try and play around the smoke on the doors. Some nades already been thrown in around B as well, just to take attention away, maybe.
Yeah, Horse looks like he wants to try and sneak in here. They know Big Comics is going to continue to play in a similar position, and it seems to make them a little bit more eager than usual to go towards these B fights. Alucard this time, though, trying to disrupt from the rafters. The problem here is they don't really have a good trade setup. Both TRGs as well on this B bomb site, so a lot of this comes down to Comics potentially around this early kill in the rotation. Totson going to go down right away. Alucard able to find the lurk. Slayer, though, still opening things up. Snare able to find another one here, just holding on to this locker's position. Now they've got a chance to work with it. Snare going to find another. Comics going to be one and done. Now Beck has to try and clutch one up again for his team to continue to keep this at a tie. Otherwise, Vitality will extend the lead here. Slayer has to be careful, though, right off the plant. He's going to go down. Snare looking for his third. Potentially a massive clutch for Vitality if he can find it. But Beck is just biding his time here. Knows all he has to do is find one key moment to catch Snare off guard. The TRG out of hand, but both players just struggling to connect here. And this is where the time's going to start to tick away from him. Snare knows he just has to last a little bit longer to stall out this round. And Beck, he's going to go ahead and fake the defuse here. Knows that's the move he's got to make. But look at the footwork here. Snare, he is running out of time. Beck, though, does he have enough time for the defuse?
No.
2 seconds on the clock. It's down to the wire. And thankfully for Snare, just a half second shaved off gets the job done, and Vitality squeak away just off time.
Now that is crazy. Very, very seldom do you see a round one like that. The bomb time was quite long. The bomb defusal time is quite short. And when it's a 1v1 in particular, like being able to waste time like that from Snare is incredible. The thing is, once he knew it again wasn't a hold from Beck, he could just hide in the corner and hide as far away as he possibly could. Dying doesn't matter, and well, he's kind of played Beck like a fiddle there, it has to be said. That was beautiful. Beck could have definitely played it differently, could have been committed to a hold at some point, but the angle that Snare was in, he could just check that incrementally right and make sure he wasn't on it. So, yeah, just everything Snare did there was pretty much spot on. Can Beck get some revenge? The answer's no. Snare will him immediately once again. Comics tried to hold him for multiple. He was amazing yesterday. It's another big triple kill. Big Comics now, what a moment this would be for him as a stand-in to pick off Snake in a 1v1.
Yeah, he's got the right idea. The problem here, though, is Snake knows exactly what angle he was playing prior, because he does pick up one already in the round, so it's going to come down to how he wants to play the clock. But Snake, this is a really good positional choice. He picks the furthest rotation possible to be his unsafe angle, and he knows Big Comics, under this kind of pressure, isn't going to go likely for that full rotation. But Big Comics, he's going to have to check everything off. The smoke is going to help, but only slightly. The C4 is wide in the open, but look at this. He gets off of it, but there's time to get this defuse after all. Big Comics, he's going to stick it, but just in time. Snake able to swoop back in, getting a little bit too close for comfort. I feel like if Big Comics just a couple moments sooner just went for the defuse, he might have had it there.
That's 2 in a row, isn't it? That's got to come down to that sort of situation. Pretty insane. Big Comics decides to not make the mistake Beck did and just holds it and hopes for the best, but it's not going to happen. And in comes the aggression here down toward A, immediately off the rip for Vitality. On 2 close rounds like that, long drawn-out rounds on B, they change the pace. They go straight into A. They've got a trade. The nades are come filing through. So much damage both ways, actually. Comics being tagged down low now as well, but in comes the push. And Big Comics is taking space, taking names as well. Great double kill from him. He seems to be still alive somehow on the back of the site. Or maybe planted, but Snare's in the open. And if he gets 3 kills from this position, he is just a pure magician. He's stuck behind the smoke, and he'll be run down by Alucard. This time, it'll go Nemesis' way.
Yeah, much cleaner on the retake. A lot of that just due to for the first time, Vitality doesn't really leave anybody on the lurk, and the problem there is you just have no good way to stall and really help support that upper A push back into sight. So for Vitality, they're going to have to be a little bit more careful this time around, especially with Snare already down to just 3 HP. Slayer sneaking into the vents, is hoping to maybe catch somebody on a counter boost, and might be perfect timing here. Big Comics versus Slayer, they're going to spot each other out, and neither player goes for the shots, though. Instead, they're just going to both kind of disconnect from the fight and go for the full reset. Now you can see Vitality putting that extra pressure onto Lobby, but it's only really going to be Snare just trying to stay alive and do what he can here to stall for the potential here and that information. But Nemesis, I like their play here, just jump spotting the vents, not really getting too over eager and waiting it out.
Next, and have a little bit of a cheeky peek up the stairs. You can see how close he is now. Maybe playing the tight line. The thing is, he's got 4 players. Make that 3 now on the other side. So he'll fall back down, have to try and play time, trying to activate Comics from the observation room. And here we go. Deck will go down. That is unfortunate. Dipsy's now engaging 2. There'll be multiple players on his screen, and that's not going to work out all too well. Toxin will get a double. Another big round for Toxin. Nades can file through here. And Ukar does, with a bit of nice movement, catch 1, but Snare is still in the vent. He's worried about that. Thing is, if they can force the issue down onto the site and ignore Snare, if possible, they can isolate Horus and Snake on the site itself, because no one of these Vitality players is exactly very healthy. But the thing is, they can continue to play these headshot angles, these very difficult positions to remove, and that is going to be too much for Alucard to deal with. Snare just never gets himself active in that one. He lets his teammates finish it off, and Nemesis will have to call attack.
Yeah, that's a tough one there for Nemesis. They had the potential in that 2v4 as well. Everybody on Vitality extremely low. If they would have had maybe just one more grenade to work with, it could have been a much different story on that retake situation. But for Nemesis, they know they've got to put that brick wall up right now with the tac pause. Otherwise, it's going to be map number 1 already out of their grasp. And this is really a series where it doesn't look good on the map pool to the back half for Nemesis. So you don't want to go down on this first one. The second being Compound, that's really a coin toss, but the third being Eagle Eye means if they go into that 2-0, very, very strong chance Vitality wins this, just due to how strong their Eagle Eye has been this season. It seems to be one of their most consistent maps right now and their ability to close it out. So I would be worried for them looking at the map pool, because I believe the last time these two teams met, the only one that Nemesis was able to grab was on that Ankara. So, and even that was an overtime situation. And without Raffen, it just gets that much harder, because, I mean, we've seen it already in this one. You need that initiator, and it's kind of the missing piece, because if you look at how Big Comics has played so far, he's kind of trying to take on a much different role. He's trying to get that secondary sniper in a little bit more, and it almost forces Beck and Dipsy to be more of the initiators on the team, and you can tell everybody's just a little bit more uncomfortable in how it's being played out.
Yeah, I think that is the issue, just going back through historic, Nemesis versus Vitality games. If you remember last season's grand final, they did an incredible job to beat Vitality in that upper bracket final. They won, would you believe, actually, Ankara was one of the maps they lost. They won Subbase 10-5, Port 10-8, and Black Widow 10-7 to come back from a 2-1 deficit to go straight to that grand final. But of course, then in the rematch, in the grand final that actually mattered, Ankara was the only map that Nemesis were able to win. Vitality 10-8 Eagle Eye, 10-6 Subbase, 10-7 Port, losing Ankara as map 3. So, yeah, again, just with the way this map veto has gone, Nemesis are fighting well, considering the situation they're in, it has to be said. But Vitality now just one away from taking it and getting that one big step through to another championship. 2 more steps to come after that, obviously, but they're in a great position already. Nemesis attack pause will be over, and we'll see if they can get what would be an incredible 3 in a row.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one to take to overtime, but if you're Vitality here, you still have to be a little bit careful not to overstep and think it's over just yet. You can see them taking their time, slowly easing into a B execution, just leaving Totson on that lurk outside of the A doors. I do like the play call here, but Beck, a bit of a threat here to deal with. He finds the first of the round onto Slayer. Slayer as well might get doubled up on, and that's going to be a bit of a brutal start here for Vitality. Already down 2 players, the rest of the team being forced to take this fight onto the A bomb site. The benefit here, though, is I don't know if Big Comics and Dipsy are ready for 2 players already on the bottom of the A staircase. Able to find one right away, but Dipsy holds the line. 3 headshots in a row, and Nemesis, they are right back in the fight after the tack pause.
Very nice, and it wasn't even like it was anything particularly special that they did in that after that tack pause. Beck just won his fights, and that forced them into A, and then Dipsy won his fights. Simple as that. Just really a momentum breaker pause really there for Nemesis. You know, the comebacks have been possible for them. Anubis versus Nemesis game yesterday was for a while. Crazy map 5. Absolutely ridiculous. I think Anubis will be looking back at that and thinking they should definitely be here, unfortunately for them. But you know, I think, honestly, what I think is also vaguely amusing, not for Anubis, but they will have wished they had been here, and they will have probably been able to play with their full team, unlike Nemesis. So, bit of a shame in that sense. Anyway, he's been with it nattered, and Nemesis did. And it's a great try from Comics. Oh, he's followed it up on Snake as well. Sitting through that door, Smoke. Horus will finally remove him, but he needs a kill back. A second kill back. Possible again. He's going to be rushed down by Beck. This is going well for Nemesis. A little bit of a step forward in assertiveness has worked out well for them.
Yeah, now Slayer left alone. 1 versus 4. He does have a chance at it, though. The players are kind of lined up a little bit for him, but a bit of a wide swing there costs him, and Beck and Alucard just barely skating away from that one. 10 HP on each of them, and Nemesis, they're just 1 step away from a potential overtime here. Vitality, they've got to find a way to change the pace here, and it seems like they're going to go ahead and not be as eager towards the B-bomb site. That early pressure going to be put towards A this time around, and it could be the right call. Big Comics is alone this time.
There's only 1 round now. This is very damn doable. More pressure on Vitality all of a sudden. Vitality do love winning their maps 10-8. We've seen many, many ones like this where they just allow a team to get a little bit closer and feel like they give them hope, and then stop them at the last, whether it's overtime or not. Let's see if they're able to do it again to Nemesis and just break their heart bit by bit today. Big Comics again playing that role on A like I was talking about, and if he's not ready, that could allow Vitality to file in.
Looks like we are going to see them slowly pushing for that A lobby control, but Comics on the other side has been a bit of a nuisance to deal with. He's going to find the first already. Horus goes down. Great way to start it off, but it's not over just yet. A little bit more than that to hold on. He's going to find a second. Almost has a chance at Totson as well. Things are slowly falling apart here for Vitality on the round. You can see Snake trying to back off here and figure out what to do. With only 50 seconds on the clock, they're going to have to make a bit of an uncomfortable move now.
And the setup for Nemesis is really good now. Like, because they've got comfort in the 5v3, they've got support for Big Comics on A, they've got mid covered, and they've got B covered initially. Snare will try and force his way forward against Alucard, and this could be the way in, the only real way in at the moment, because Snare's made a play. Totson is waiting as well. All of a sudden, here it comes. The moves are being made by Nemesis, and it pushes them into Vitality. Totson with 2. That makes a huge difference. It recovers it back into the 2v2 now. 20 seconds on the clock to choose which bomb site they want to go to, and they're going to try and put the pressure on Alucard. They know he's in that position. Alucard can't afford to go down with nothing. You can tell it's nervy for Snake. It's very, very whiffy. They find him. 9 seconds for that plant. They need it, and Dipsy might be allowing it to come through. Yes, he is. Snake can get it down. 1v2, but it's very, very possible. 35 HP on Dipsy. Similar health on Snake. 48, pushing forward. Sees him on the angle. It's overtime or bust for Dipsy. And look at the facial expressions of Vitality right now. They're really nervous about it, but there it is. Right at the last port of call, all over again. It always is a Vitality way, isn't it? A 3v5, 1v1 goes their way to get the map won.
Incredible performance from Vitality, but extremely close. It's going to leave me wondering for a while what this would have looked like if Raffin were in the picture, because for Vitality, I feel like they should have had a better time on this. Big Comics, though, was able to step up in the second half. The rest of Nemesis as well, really holding their own and making this a very close effort. And now going into the second map of Nemesis pick, they're going to have to be on their toes, I think, a bit more, but they do close it out. And we're going to go ahead and throw it to the desk to break this one down and give us their thoughts.
Thank you, Carl. And yeah, this game was pretty close, I would say, especially at the first half. Like, we had rounds dropping everywhere, and then on the second half, it felt like everything shifted for Vitality. They just went straight in, and they were trying to just close over the game and just put Vitality, not Vitality, put Nemesis in a really tough spot. But at the end, like, they took one pause, and like everything just changed. But if it wasn't for the clutch, I would say that we should go to overtime. What do you think, Volt?
Well, I mean, I just like to, I guess, concur with the statement that Travis have said, and then I'll take it a step further, right? Travis, after that second clutch from, was it Snake, I believe, in the 1v1 against Beck? That was the one that he was like saying, hey, like a lot of heroics are coming from the side of Vitality. 4Ks that was initially Todson, then Snare afterwards. A lot of good play from their side, but it shouldn't really take that much to take down this Nemesis side, especially with how bad, to be fair, the Comics was playing on that first half. They should have had a much easier time, and credit where it's due to the side of Nemesis. They played a very good game, and also the Comics have had a massive resurgence on the Global Risk side. Clearly, he's a lot more comfortable with the sniper in his hand, but hey, that 50-50 is not going to always be the case. Still, for Vitality, I guess that's one of the main things about this Vitality team that kind of put them and give them the edge above everybody else, is that they're the team that even in the ugliest kind of games can still somehow get one of those wins. And yeah, that's the Thompson 4K that we were talking about. And then, you know, like, you look at that half, like, all of the highlights are going the way of Vitality, but you look at the scoreline, it's still very competitive, and the two teams really brought it neck and neck, and you gotta give a lot of credit in that one to Beck, because it was such a well-called game from the side of Nemesis. Maybe if they had a bit of a better luck in some of their earlier rounds, and especially if Snare was not on that kind of form, there would have been a very different talk about where this subbase is gonna go. I said that this is non-negotiable, so I'm pretty thankful that Vitality didn't drop the ball, because if they did, this really would have been anyone's game. Still, to be fair, with the way that this one went, still feels like it is everyone's game.
It is everyone's game. Like, we closed one round before the overtime, and it was a 1v1 clutch, so anything could have happened. And I don't want to go hard in Big Comics. Like, yeah, his second half was decent, but at the first half he didn't even drop a single kill. That's something. But on the second half, he's just like, yeah, he stepped in, he did this, did that, and like worked his way around to be back on the scoreboard. And that shows you how this guy actually is really good with the sniper. When he just took the sniper out of his hands, it's not as easy as when he got the sniper. And on the other hand, I saw that Vitality were actually bringing some things from the old Vitality. Like, they brought me back to 3BL era, when they had like the 3 guys set up in A site, like the one who's just behind the stairs, the other guy on the left side, and the third in the main, like I'm talking about A main. I have seen them execute it only once. I felt like the nostalgia kicking back to me watching Vitality doing that. And other than this, like, you were correct, Volt, and in some of the points, it was about the vent. Like, some of the plays, some of the rotations went around the vent, and of course the radio area. It was very important to clear it out and to play from that position. And like, you gotta give it to me also, like, it was a little bit of this, a little bit of wooden doors, but the wooden doors ones were from Nemesis, not Vitality.
Yeah, and again, that's why I said, like, when I saw Nemesis taking that pick, I thought that things are gonna go a little bit different, to be honest, in that first half, but unfortunately, yeah, with comics, or big comics rather, not showing up on that one, things didn't go that well, and unfortunately, well, comics himself didn't really show up at all on this map, and yesterday, he was the main reason that they even got over the finish line.
True.
So we'll have to wait and see if he is going to be able to get things started, but, well, here's someone that is always ready and eager on that side. Vitality, of course, really happy about some of the performances. Nair to kick things off, solves it in the mid rounds, always reliable in the clutch. But Slayer is the one that can be a silent heavy at times, and he is right here, right now. 1.3 KD, such a good performance on his side. Maybe not as much in the highlights as some of the other players, but you definitely always feel his impact in the trades today.
Of course, you will always feel that, and he's just like he's there. Like he's that guy who casually drop like a single kill at a certain round, like double kill, and he is always on the killing feed. And like yeah, being consistent is something, and having some flashy plays is something else. Like we have always seen some players that they're one season wonder, or not even one season wonder, one play wonder that you'll see him appear at once or twice, and then he's just like it's my time to just go to the other side. But otherwise, that's not the case with Vitality, and that's not the case with Nemesis. Both of them are the big leaders of the West League. And currently, I believe we are entering a new compound. So, lads, take it away.
It is time for new compound. It's Nemesis's pick, but I do worry for them a bit, just considering we had so many close rounds there, and it felt like Nemesis, under that post-plant pressure, struggled a lot in map number 1. Do you see any signs of hope, though, Trav, as we get ready to jump in for map 2?
Honestly, I do, and I want to say that they will make this grand final a 4-mapper. I really do, because it felt like they weren't hampered massively but by big comics. I feel like there was never a moment. Sure, maybe he didn't get that many kills, right? There was never a moment where his like bad whiff or poor performance or poor decision ever cost him at any point. I felt like there was one 1v1 where he went for the defuse, if you remember, right? I don't think that was a big mistake in any way. I think that was just a fine option to take in that clutch. So yeah, I'm not too down in the dumps when it comes to Nemesis' chances. They've got absolutely nothing to lose in this entire game now, obviously, but unfortunately from here, yeah, you still expect Vitality to win it 3-0. Either way, I'm still going to predict the same thing. But yeah, the first match performance, they would have definitely got it through to overtime. There's a chance. What has Comics just done to Snare? He was strafing to the right to rotate to a different position and randomly jump headshot him. Oh dear.
Yeah, a spicy one to start it off. Definitely going to look good for them in this round now, but it was scary to see the stats there right before. 73% win rate on this season for the GR side of Vitality, and they have not lost this map on the season so far as well. So a lot working for them on the way they play Compound. In this first round, though, not so much just yet, but they do have to get through the brick wall of Tatsun on this B-bomb site. This time, though, as the TRG, not something we usually see too often with, and it's not really going to work out as well. It does allow Snake some time at the very least to rotate in here, but now Nemesis knows they've got a huge advantage to work with on this round. They can have this lurk of Beck start to get that info towards A, and now they are spoiled for choice in this round. Big site open, Horus caught out of position, and things just falling apart left and right here for Vitality. And this one, Snake maybe with a glimpse of hope here, able to find one. Here comes the flank from Dipsy, and that'll finish things off nicely. And Nemesis wasting no time making a statement to kick off map 2.
Getting a couple of rounds in a row to start would be very, very nice. See if they can build a few in a row. Tatsun will try and stop that immediately, though. Very aggressive line taken. Becky stays off the back of that, and that catches Horus off guard very significantly. So, good grab back into the 4v4.
Interesting repeat, though. He's able to find one for Slayer, but again, the 1-for-1s Not really showing any sort of advantage for anyone just yet. Beck, though, taking a lot of damage on that A-long fight does leave a slight advantage in the hands of Vitality, but the C4 is also down in mid as well. Somebody from Nemesis is going to have to find a way to scoop that up, but Totson, he's still going to be holding the TRG as well. An interesting choice, just considering how good he looked with the HK on the first map. I'm surprised to see him bringing that out a little bit more here on Compound, but it is a map where having that second pocket sniper can hold a lot of value, but it is a bit risky here considering how well he's looked otherwise. But Snake, though, this time just playing tucked away outside of B, waiting for these players to maybe walk up to his position. And Nemesis, you can kind of tell they're pretty uncertain of how to take this approach.
Yeah, they're giving it some time. This is a long, drawn-out second round. Actually, a pretty similar thing happened on the first map, where it was a little bit of a longer one. But Totson's going to go searching, and that's going to catch Comics off guard. He had his brother right next to him. Unfortunately, they need to get that trade quickly. For Big Comics, is a good move. That's a very impressive second kill in the game from him to make sure it's a 2v2. But look at Snake. He's tracking. He's tracing, and he's on that flank. And there it goes. Big Comics in the end. It's all down to Beck. He's relatively low speed. He's going to be jumped upon by Snare. As soon as he's pinched it in the middle, it's easy. Snare knew what he had to do. And Vitality will make it 1-1.
Yeah, Vitality just getting the best of the trades there. Nicely done. Now it's going to be up to Nemesis to see if that first round was just a bit of a fluke or if they can continue to find the answers here. They have looked good in the opening fights, making sure nothing really goes fully unanswered here. But Vitality, they continue to provide a little bit of change and a bit of nuance each round. And look at this boost play Snare. This is an interesting one. Not something you really see too often. The doorway boost, and especially of a TRG player, it seems a bit too risky for my taste, but I'm curious to see if it actually nets them some sort of positive play.
I agree with you. Big Comics taking a gamble. I don't mind that overall, to be fair to you. I feel like it's the sort of situation where you try and go for something crazy over the course of the half in different variations. Lovely pick from Snare. Dipsy will find Snake in the meantime, but it's only a bit of a consolation. Look at Slayer go again. He knows with only 2 players left in the round, he's got so much space to work with. Takes the time onto Beck. Beck has no idea he's pushed all the way through. And the C4 is also dropped in the window, so no way back in for Dipsy.
Yeah, I mean, at this point for Dipsy, especially with the C4 down, really nothing he can do except hope for some 1v1s. And even that seems to be a little bit of a challenge here, but he is going to find the first eventually onto Totson. Time ticking away, but nobody else seems to want to take the fight alone, so smart plays from Vitality and Snare able to close this one out nicely and take the lead here on Compound. And this is where GR Compound is just so tough. If the sides were swapped maybe at the start, I would give Nemesis a much stronger chance of winning on this map, but it's so hard to break a good GR on Compound.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the task is ahead. Big Comics going together, and that's a lovely little team up. Horus will go down. The one thing that these Big Comics are going to have is going to be synergy. They're going to go hand in hand together. Down towards Snare, and Snare tries to throw some utility to hold them at bay, but little does he know, they're already all in that position. I mean, he could hear pre-firing, but he tried to get a little bit of timing on that throw of the grenade. Didn't really work out at all. Gets completely caught off guard. Snake is there to respond. There's not really any site presence taken by Nemesis yet, but they have got a 4v3.
Yeah, and this is where it gets tough. It almost feels really familiar to the last round we saw on sub base, where Nemesis, they play aggressive, they get the early 5-on-3, and then they start to second guess themselves. And this is where Vitality is really good at reading things in the mid rounds. Snake able to play a little bit more forward pressure. The C4 as well, still kind of alone in the hands of Big Comics outside of A long, and Nemesis not really in a good position to support that fight if it happens towards Big Comics. So Big Comics needing to be a bit careful in this position to get out alive, and thankfully Snake could be peeking on the other end of it. They still have to worry about his aggression here, slowly working his way back into mid. This could be brilliant timing on the backstab. He spots Dipsy, gets the first kill. Big Comics not able to trade it out as well. Alucard finally able to put the punish to him from the tower position. In fact, this is the really good timing he needed. Catches the players rotating in mid to support that counter pick from Alucard. Now Totson left alone versus 2 spots. The first player barely able to connect through the smoke onto Beck. Takes it down to the 1v1. Two key players, but Totson with a slight advantage on the peak. They'll be able to win it here. Vitality, again, these 3v5s, Nemesis, you can't afford to lose them.
Not in the position they're in today, no, not at all. It's a shame because they've been in positions that are good. Positions maybe we didn't think they were going to be in, considering the drawback that they're having to play with Big Comics today. And they're just not really taking advantage of them. It's a bit of a shame. It's not even like they're playing really badly. I think they're playing well overall. Just, yeah, another opportunity, another flank made by Vitality, another move, aggressive move when they know there's space available to move into. They go for it, and it works really well.
Alucard walking into the stack, though. Has to be careful. Players on the other side of these pillars, and they're just not ready for Alucard He's going to go down as well with only 1 kill. Now the rotation here for us, going to be good for 1, and this is where we've seen Nemesis continually struggle. They get the opening advantage off the aggressive play, but now they've got to show they can hang on to it. Horus, though, doing a good job of playing the full reset here. Going to go ahead and rotate out. The C4 still going to be in the hands of Beck, though, surprisingly. Just sitting on the back side of mid here. A bit of a risky position to play by himself, and we've got the Comics duo as well here, just kind of playing a little bit scared outside the B-bomb side for now. This is going to allow the player swap to happen, and getting Snare into an anchor position on B is not what they would have been hoping for here.
Can they recover another one, Vitality? This time they don't really have a position yet where they can go for one of these big flanks again and recover around from a disadvantage. It's going to be down to pure fights for Horus, I think, with his position. If Big Comics is caught in transition, that is the way back in. Going to drop down into the open, but not the able to finish off the kill with Horus with his back turned, and that is the issue. That's probably the first big mistake for Big Comics in the entire game. He's been totally fine so far. That's one that could prove to be a big factor because now Horus and Snare have a chance in the retake.
Yeah, it's a good decision from them as well. The burst, both of them to the vent position. Comics not ready for the second player on the corner. Beck now stuck in the vents. Has to stall the timer. Knows he has to take a bit of a risk here and allowing them to go ahead and poke the defuse for a moment. Snare, though, knows exactly what's up here. Spots him early. The quick scope as well. And again, 2v4, 3v5.
Wow.
They cannot be stopped here. Vitality 4-1 now take a big lead.
That's so impressive, man, again. And look, I brought up this guy so much when it's important games. Sometimes in the regular season, he can be a bit quiet. And I mean, to be fair, the whole of Vitality is occasionally a bit like that. But when the games really matter, when there are important moments where a double kill is needed, I can't tell you how many times I've seen Horus do it, man. So many seasons in a row. It's like he ramps up and absolutely needed. Look at Totson having fun with Dipsy around the doors as well there. That little jiggle jump is so dirty. How are you supposed to trap that one? Snare tries to flank and does get caught, so I'm a little bit overzealous this time for Snare and Vitality. But yeah, again, Horus doing incredible work when it really matters.
Yeah, this time around, he might have a chance to get in here too. Beck spotted on the box as Horus once again his headshot and Beck. I don't know why he gives it to him. Horus will take that all day long. And now Vitality find the advantage to hold on to. And Totson still going to be holding on to that pressure angle on the B doors. The C4, though, now down in the backside of mid. So it does make things a little bit trickier for Nemesis to recover. On top of that, they've got the looming threat of Horus at any time could push out of their own. Big Comics, though, spotted. Not the timing play he was hoping for. Slayer on the other side of that smoke, just ready and waiting to take him down. And Alucard and Comics just trying to force the issue towards B. Totson, though, he gets the info, he backs off, and now Nemesis have a really rough push on their hands to deal with.
Big shots! Big shots!
Comics and Alucard will get a couple of their own, and now they have a chance to pressure Slayer on the side. They know where Snake is as well. This is very awkward, and now the nade from Snake is what lands onto Comics, and that just changes everything. That means Slayer can play that position totally differently. And just dance, continue to dance, make it awkward, and in the 1v1 he's better again. And how many close rounds for Nemesis, man. They'll be feeling really upset right now, because it's not like they're just being totally outplayed. It's not like Vitality are stomping them. They've been in good positions, and they just can't close.
Yeah, it's got to be a bit disheartening here, but at the same time, just shows what Vitality can do even without the advantages in the round to work with, whether it's a close round or not. They seem to find their way through, especially on the GR side here, looking very strong today. And on top of that, you've got Nemesis, a little bit of a struggle in these last couple of rounds. On top of it, Totson, though, consistently through the edge of these smokes, able to get things done. Takes down the comics right away. We are going to see the reply at least equalize for the moment. Smoke's going to go down in mid. C4 slowly working its way back towards that maybe late A push, but you do see Snake poking around for info and almost giving up B for that mid to B play that seems to be happening slowly from Nemesis. They want to try and bait this in to Snare and Slayer on the off angle. The flash able to stall out for the moment, but Dipsy, he could have the perfect timing here. Slayer going to get caught in transition back up into the ranks. Snare able to find one, but the trade's looking good for Nemesis. Now it's going to be on to Snake, the only full HP player, taken down right away. Horus, he's spotted as well, and that should be the round for Nemesis. Horus, he's going to have to pull off some sort of a miracle here to stay alive. Somehow actually able to get out of the site for a full rotation, but it's not going to matter all said and done here. Gets caught by Dipsy anyways, and Nemesis finally get that second one on the board.
Well, it's long overdue, but fair play. They've kept at it and grinded away. And honestly, in any other game, in any other situation, you could be looking at it being maybe even 5-2 to them at this point. It's been so, that many close rounds have been on a knife edge. I don't think it's even unfair to say. Lovely, lovely opening from Comics. Slayer down in an instant. He does, and Horus on that position will get overrun this time. Not really the best positions in the world for Horus on this occasion. So, again, managed to wrestle an advantage out of this round.
Yeah, not a bad one here for Nemesis to start off, but the issue has been the closing of these rounds, and this is where they're going to have to be careful. Big Comics spotted out. Snare, though, he actually wants to go for the repeat here. He's going to win that fight. Totson going to trade out in mid, takes it down to a 1v2. Alucard and Dipsy both under half. Snare, full HP to work with. The right call definitely going to be going B here for Nemesis. It's very, very hard to retake from this mid position, but even harder when you've got Alucard on the other side of it right away. Catches him through the door. Nemesis will find 2 in a row, a 5-4 half, all said and done. Wouldn't be too shabby here from Nemesis.
Yeah, I'll give them their fair dues. As I said, they've stuck at it, considering all the rounds that could have been going into their head a little bit, thinking about what if, what could have been. 5-4 really would not be that bad, as you say, and they've got a chance at it now.
Yeah, a bit of a weird one here for Nemesis, though. No forward control, and it doesn't seem like they're even attempting it. They're expecting, I think, a pillar's push over towards B. You can see 4 players just kind of grouped up outside, hoping someone was going to push through from Vitality, but a smart call from Vitality, just playing a passive mid-hold setup here in the round, not really trying to force any early fights. They've been fairly inconsistent on the early fights, and that's probably been their weakest point in this series so far, is just losing a lot of early engagements. So I like the call from them to play this one a little bit safer here in the final round of the half. But Nemesis, this is where they've got to show us a little bit more. It feels like when they don't have that early play to pressure, they kind of struggle a bit to be cohesive on the execution.
Yeah, exactly. Becky's going to make his way forward now. 50 seconds left in this round. And Okada is wary of that flank to come through from long, and because of that, you know, you can tell that's a bit of conditioning from earlier, with Vitality winning a couple of rounds from there being flanks in those positions. Flashes will come through in mid, and they're going to try and make their move now. Right to do so with 30 seconds left. Very tight angle held by Snare. Good success on the first kill. He will try and bypass Dipsy as well. Lovely scope. Slayer will find his, and this one's falling into Vitality's hands with ease. It won't be a 5-4 again. It'll be a 6-3 for the favourites.
Yeah, really good round to close it out. Like you said, using a lot of that conditioning to their advantage, forced them into a funnel they just weren't ready for in the final round. And now for Vitality, what they've got to do is find 4 here on the BL side to close it out, though this is the harder side of the map to close on. But for Nemesis, they're already 3 down here, so they really have to establish a strong start to the half. Horus able to spot one potentially here on the shoulder if he can find that opportunity, but Comics not really wanting to take that fight. Dipsy also just kind of playing the off angle, baiting the shoulder peek here. I do like this approach so far from Nemesis. The problem they've got to deal with, though, is Horus really deadly on these first engagement angles.
Yeah, there's a big difference between 6-4 and 7-3. If Vitality find this first round of the second half, then it feels like it could be game. As you say, 4 players on the outskirts of B at the moment. Just one Faker and Slayer, and one A-Long. So they are going to want to push through. Just considering what time to do it. Slayer will now rotate round to help out. If we can bypass middle without getting caught, that could make a big difference. You can tell Big Comics wants to give it a look. He's got a bit of teammate support there with Beck as well. And with Vitality being allowed to get this far in front, they can go for a proper execute with utility.
Yeah, you can see the prep mates going through the smoke, cutting that rotation early. All they need is the one, and that should be enough here. That smoke is going to be beautiful timed. It allows Slayer to stall the rotators. Even if he goes down here, it shouldn't matter if he can buy enough time for the C4 to get planted, which could be a little bit too early on, but still not too bad. All said and done, 4-on-3 advantage for the post plant, and they've got a lot of utility to nicely stall that smoke screen with as well. Big Comics, though, his timing is going to be brutal for him. Horus on the flank takes him down right away. Now he can group up. That's going to be a 4v2 on the doorway, and there's just no way to win that against Vitality on the other side. 7-4 or 7-3 as they kick off this half. So really, really good statement from them to start off the BL.
Yeah, that's really, really nice. That's what I really appreciate with teams like Vitality, right? I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm flaming the other teams, but I don't see many other teams that didn't make playoffs in particular that go for proper executes like that are really thought out. Everyone's got their lineup against it. They've got their map control. They've got themselves in the positions they want to use with the team. And it works to absolute perfection, right? They might not win this following round here, who knows? But when they go for a proper setup like that and it works that well, that's when you can say, ah yes, I see the vision. I see why you're going to be possibly winning this league all over again.
Yeah, it's all really in the detailing here, and Vitality, they've had their core roster for quite a while now, and you can see the difference here when they get into a match like this, where on the other side, they've got a substitute coming in, and it's starting to show its colors a little bit here of why that weakness will be pretty severe against Horus, though. Look at the timing, Big Comics. Got to clear those corners. Unfortunately, that will hurt him, and pretty much the chances up the round as well. Nemesis Dipsy to rely on for this one, and it's not going to be for much longer. 8-3, what felt like at the end of the first half, it was maybe even gearing up to be a one-round game, but Nemesis now, they've got to take the tack pause because this is quickly falling away from them.
Yeah, quickly being the operative word. That is a little bit too quick, unfortunately, for them. Again, it's a first half where they really feel like they're in the game, like a genuinely competitive first half. Even though it ended 6-3 to Vitality, that conversation point of there being so many rounds where they had either slight advantage or positional advantage, and Vitality just make a play to counter it at exactly the right time. That's the difference in quality we've got here, and of course with the issue of Nemesis having to use a stand-in today. And, you know, 6-3 has now turned into 8-3, and Vitality are well on their way.
Yeah, I feel like if this one goes south here for Nemesis, I mean, Eagle Eye is an even scarier third map on the table for Vitality. This is the map that Nemesis, I felt like, could make competitive and maybe even win. Alucard's normally an insanely high performer on this back as well, and they've both been a little bit of a lackluster performance on this one so far, so it's been a bit of a scary situation to be in, but we'll see if they can find anything during this tack pause to maybe change the pace and get themselves back into a fighting position. But going down 10-3 on this one would just be a pretty tough one to roll forward with, especially considering how much of a struggle their blacklist sides have been. And Vitality does have the global risk draw for map 3 as well, which it's kind of a nice place of comfort to be in if you're Vitality. Not having to make the first move 3 maps in a row can really just allow you to play a little bit more casually and wait to see what Nemesis will do, which I think they appreciate here.
Horus will clap in support and encouragement for his teammates to try and finish this map very quickly. You've been here before for them multiple times over the course of this core's history. Of course, they won Season 1 in 2026 over Nemesis in the end. It's a rematch in the grand final. You heard, of course, from the players, this is their 5th time playing against each other, and it's 2-2 in grand finals from their memory. 2025, of course, was Rock versus GG, so it wasn't them involved that time. But this is what we kind of need to see from Nemesis at the beginning of the half. A bit more aggression, a bit more assertiveness to try and keep Vitality on their toes a little bit at least. But, again, as we always say, it's not a round 1 until it's won.
Yeah, it definitely would not be the first time today we've seen Steak and Totson win something out in the clutch, but if you're Nemesis, this is a must-win round they need to close out, and they do have the advantage positionally to do so. They've got 2 players already on the flank, the last going to be Big Comics here, working his way towards that B doorway. He's spotted out though. This could get dangerous very quickly. Totson able to get the nice tap onto Dipsy. Comics spotted out as well. They know where everybody is for Nemesis. The smoke screen as well. Comics trying to be a hero, goes in alone a little bit too early, almost gets caught for it. Big Comics here. He's the one to play that distraction almost and go in first. Comics goes in first. Big Comics just has no HP to make this happen. The problem here is Big Comics has got a little bit too early, and just like that, the 2v4, it is a 2v1 against Nemesis. Not any advantage to work with unless Comics can find his way in the 1v2. Spots them both though! Comics saves the day from what looked like sheer disaster, and finally Nemesis get their response, but it's only just barely at 60 from Comics.
I know, it would have just been another one to add to the list of rounds that have gone a begging, wouldn't it? If they didn't win that one. That was so close again, from being caught in such a big advantage and such control across the map as well. Vitality is so good at knowing what they want to do when they have information. It just catches out teams so often. You can see Dipsy there is not ready for Horus at all, charging his way through mid. Immediate start to the follow-up round. Might only be a blip for Vitality. It's a good clutch from Comics, and we've seen big moments from Comics. I don't know if you saw the broadcast yesterday, but he was unbelievable in the overtime on map 5 in that lead up to Golden Round. I think he got 7 kills in 3 rounds. And it's funny because I was just talking about how sometimes this season he's been a little bit underwhelming in moments, and maybe not as much of a star player as he would have wanted. And he really showed up yesterday when it was absolutely required to come back from 12-10 down. But yeah, that is a great clutch there. Unfortunately, they're going to need a lot more of that.
Yeah, they definitely need a bit more from Comics in this one. Unfortunately, he's only going to be one and done in this round, and leaves a lot up to the remaining players of Nemesis as the C4 once again goes down on B. This time around, though, Vitality doesn't really have any utility for the post plant, so there is a little bit of room to work with. If Nemesis can find their way to a nice flash clear on one of these angles, the problem here is They originally had a TRG leading the position, and it's make it a lot more challenging for Comics, though. He's going to go in first. It's called the pistol out, taken down. Now, Alucard as well from above, not going to be able to make it happen. Only one player goes down from Vitality on the post plant, and they're able to hang on nicely. 9-4, one step away from getting themselves onto a final map needed to close this series. And Nemesis, I don't know if they have what's left to get us done in this second map. It might be done and dusted here.
Yeah, it could be a bit of a disappointing grand final, sadly, due to many reasons, of course, outside of Nemesis' control and just because of Vitality being that good. Another CFWL title could be added to the belt of this roster, whether it's 3BL, Rock, or Vitality. Can Nemesis keep them on new compound for at least a little bit longer?
Yeah, you can see Vitality. They're grouping up for the mid push here. Couple of split onto the A bomb side back. That is a bit of a whiff, unfortunately. Just barely missing that first set, but on the second spray, able to find himself 2. Now the winning potential a little bit higher here for Nemesis in this one, 4v2, but knowing Vitality on the day, that doesn't mean it's quite out of the question just yet. Slayer works his way into the vent. Beck, though, knows exactly where he's going to be playing here, just kind of stalling in the perfect angle to catch him, and he'll find it. Snake, now it's a 1v4, and looks like an almost unwinnable position, but just as I say that, he's going to find one, but that will be all she wrote in this one. 9-5, Nemesis starting to claw back a little bit, but they've got a long uphill battle here if they really want to take this one into overtime.
It would be a crazy recovery. Way more impressive than what they are able to do yesterday, which is saying something. Beck tries to run down Horus in middle. Does. But exposes himself to Snare on the line.
Comics in this round, though. Really cheeky angle here. Hoping to maybe catch somebody pushing towards this B bomb side if they don't clear him properly. But Totson, I really like this clear position. Unfortunately, a little bit late to the turn there. But now they know where he's at. Comics traded down pretty early. Big Comics, unfortunately, not there to find anything on the trades just yet. Himself one, not going to be quite enough to feel comfortable though. But Alucard, thankfully, on the cross, able to trade Slayer down. These last two players are extremely low, and this is where it gets scary for Nemesis. It may be a 2-on-1 situation, but you've got Snare, who's won the most clutches on the day. And if you give him a chance where he only needs one shot from the pistol to kill each remaining player in his path, he might just take it.
Yeah, he'll go hopping away back through spawn as well. He's got plenty of time to use. Not the full health maybe you would have wanted, but it's, I think, still more than Alucard and Dipsy combined. He's on 39. Alucard and Dipsy both have a very small chunk left. Look at this line that he's got, trying to find a kill in middle at a pretty unpredictable timing for Alucard. If he's going to bypass him, that would be pretty crazy. Doesn't know anything about it yet. Both players don't know anything about it yet. Now I think Alucard may have heard something, maybe a little bit concerned about Snare keeping below. He's going to see him. It'll be an easy little quick scope. So there we go. There's another one completed. And again, we'll have to think back to that first half and say, what if? It could be an even game if a couple of those other rounds went their way. As it is, Vitality still have 3 chances.
Yeah, a bit of a tough one on Vitality's shoulders to close out. You can tell they're feeling the pressure a little bit here. Not quite able to cross that finish line as quickly as they may have thought. And Nemesis doing a good job of changing things up and really keeping them second guessing in these last couple of rounds. And this is where Vitality really just needs a clean execution, I think, to get the job done. And you can see they are going to be eyeballing that B bomb site. They've had a lot of good executes towards this side of the map. They're just going to leave Slayer on the lurk here, holding on to that A-long position. We saw him run this earlier in the half to a lot of success, but this time they've got a different defense to deal with here. It's going to be a bait and switch between Big Gomics and Dipsy, but unfortunately for Vitality, they're going to line up Dipsy 3 in a row, mows him down. Big Gomics with the trade. Slayer now has to take this one 1-on-4 to find it. Able to find the first right away, but the C4 being down on B, it's going to make this extremely difficult, but Slayer, he does still have that chance to find these players relatively separated if he can move quickly. The problem here, though, is that smoke screen has Big Comics right on the other side of it, and Slayer is going to find the first here, but doesn't realize Big Comics is in the smoke. That'll be enough to secure another. And of course, the pause comes out, especially after losing 3 in a row. Things looking a little scary for Vitality now.
Well, watch Vitality win another map 10H just for the fun of it, right? Yeah. Feels like it's just the Vitality way. When they were looking in full control at 9-4. But yeah, Nemesis are coming back into this again a little bit. And look, despite Vitality doing Vitality things and always just struggling to close out games sometimes, I think Nemesis do deserve a little bit of credit. They are fighting well, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but it just disappoints me knowing what's gone before in this map and how close it could have been, how competitive they could have been. They've still got a chance to make it all the way back. That's why Vitality have called this tack pause here and now. But yeah, it's one that's gotten away from them a little bit maybe. And of course, going into map 3, if they're not 1-1, which is feeling very unlikely still from here, and it's a very, very long way back.
Yeah, that's the tough part here for Nemesis. Even though they've really clawed back, all it takes is one small mistake for it all to still go into Vitality's hands, and that's probably what they're talking about here during the pause. Stray doing a lot of the comms here in this one. He's a player who knows how to hit that reset button under pressure and really throw in a nice curveball. But I also like his calling style as well, because he seems to go to a lot of strategies that put Vitality in a place of comfort when the pressure is high too, which I feel like a lot of coaches end up taking that risk or going for a gamble. But Stray, more often than not, will think about just what the roots of the game have been, where they've been successful, and put them in a position where they've already had success in the match so far. And I really like that approach here, because it gives Vitality that chance to breathe and just play something they know has been working well.
Of course, the Vitality tack pause does mean that Nemesis can talk as well. It's not like they're forbidden from doing so when one team calls attack. So they have a chance to maybe discuss what they want to try and do to cause Vitality issues as we get toward the end of New Compound. Vitality playing this one very, very patiently early. Not taking a massive fight over in snare, holding the angle in middle. Oh, Dipsy gives her a little bit of a look, but that's a classic snare shot. And that puts Vitality 4 steps away.
Yeah, really good opener. Now all they've got to do is find their footing in mid, and this is where it gets a little bit risky for Nemesis. They know they have to find a way to make a play to potentially respond here. Just trying to lock it down is going to be incredibly hard, especially with Beck being that only forward presence in mid. You've got Comics pushed up a little bit outside of B, but if you're Vitality, you've got to read the situation. The best thing you can do on this map when you have a player advantage is just go for an aggressive play as a team out of mid, and would not be surprised to see it shake out that way for Vitality. But for Nemesis, this is where they need a star player to step up. Everyone is going to be very spread out on this approach. Alucard caught mid-air, not the time to be caught off guard. Now the 5-on-3 is going to be that much harder to deal with. Beck alone has to tuck and hide on the A. Bomb site rotation starting to come through, but Snare again. The heavy lift going in full force here. Vitality knows it's only Comics left in the way, and he's just going to concede here. Knife out. Game over for map 2, and Vitality put themselves one map away from a 3-0 sweep in the grand final.
Yeah, so another really, really nice round from Vitality, and nice shots from Snare, of course, as well. We know him to be one of the best players in the league, often the best player in the league. And the angle he held there on that third peak to get that tiny angle on the headshot on Big Comics, it was perfect. And yeah, as soon as they get that kill, the round's pretty much over. And the map is also pretty much over. Is the entire grand final and the entire season over? That is the big question, because I think Nemesis, they played okay, and I think they've had chances, but considering their situation, a 3-0 does feel likely, doesn't it? We'll throw it over to the desk.
I mean, it's 2-0, but it's very closer to 3. It's pretty hard to be able to see how Nemesis are going to respond to this threat. 2-0, and I mean, they always have the same pattern. Vitality taking over the first half, the second half, and then Nemesis, they bring back the pause, trying to talk it over and see what they can do. They like stack a couple of rounds, and then we go to the other timeout and close the game. It's always been like this, at least for those 2 games, but nonetheless, I believe that we should be seeing more crossfire from those 2 teams.
Yeah, but credit where it's due. You gotta give it to Vitality. They won, and they won in 2 very separate ways when you compare how they played on Blacklist to how they played on Global Risk, right? Blacklist, it was all about just subduing Alucard as much as possible. They played away from him. They made sure that they didn't really give him much of a chance. And on the Blacklist side, the Riflers really were the ones to shine, especially Totson. A couple of important 1v1s that he've had. But on this GR side, the way that they were able to play, they just brought the fight to the other side. And yes, there was a couple of rounds where Alucard was actually able to perhaps find impact. But that is where, when you're looking at the side of Vitality, unlike that, of course, Blacklist Half, that in here, it was a very important time for both Snake and Slayer to actually find their timing, right? Snare's been consistent throughout. Of course, a little bit more impactful when they were playing GR, but some big rounds here and there. And unfortunately for the side of Nemesis, when it comes to the clutches, it seems like Vitality have them beat. Most of the time, they will be able to win. And in a 2v2 like that, for example, between Comics and Big Comics, the timing was everything, and Vitality was just a lot more decisive. And there's a saying that I have heard, I don't know if you've heard it before, but there's a very good saying that I've always heard, is that even the best call 1 second late is a bad call. And I feel like that's something that we've seen from Nemesis, and that's how that timeout actually helped them so much, because they became a little bit more decisive after the timeout. For Vitality, though, they've always been decisive. It was Nemesis, I guess, trying to find a few of those pain points, and they are able to find them, but it wasn't really anyways gonna matter that much when Snare and Snake and even Todson, you look at that 0.79 KD, but he was so impactful on the second half.
I mean, he was, but it feels like that Nemesis are not the same team that we have watched yesterday. I don't know, like, I know that we have like a slight changes, blah blah blah, this, we got that, but they're not bringing the same energy. It's a big one.
I'm going to say it's definitely not a slight change, because there's a difference if you're losing a player that is role for role, especially if it's like sniper for sniper, because in a lot of teams they'll tell you most snipers are plug and play. But when it's your main entry player, someone that not just actually entries, but he delivers what is a usual rifler firepower. When you look at players like Slayer, when you look at players like Snake as well at that, Raffen brings those numbers on a hard entry, and that is going to be very hard to come by, and Nemesis unfortunately cannot really have such a drastic change in a day.
Of course. It's like using to, like, you used to play on a setup, and then like you're gonna change all of that. We're gonna set new rules, and we're gonna make you just play like that. It's like forcing you to play backwards. You know where I'm coming from, like not being able to do the normal things that you would do. But nonetheless, like, everything is on them. We're currently in the final, and anything can happen. And I would say that Big Comics, like, yeah, he didn't have his big moments, like, of course, for most of the games. Like, he definitely had some of them, I would say that. And also, for me, it feels like comics is hard to find. Not big comics, comics himself is hard to find in the mix. On the other side, Vitality, they're just living, I wouldn't say their dream, they're just playing their basic stuff, basic rules, playing and enjoying the game with a 2-0 lead. It's pretty cool. You had Slayer as the MVP of the first game, Snare is the MVP of the second game, and that shows you the viability and the things that they can bring to the table. Like, we're not a one-man show, a full squad, a full team, that each and everyone got his own rules. But speaking about the rules, we have like a certain rule in our best of fives. Always after the second game, we go bring the snacks and stay still on the chair to watch the rest of the series. So, guys, we'll head to a small break and get back to you with game number 3.
But he wants to choose. Oh, he's gonna do that 50-50 here. You don't check him from up above, and he is gonna raid. Now on the right angle, should be able to find the multi-kill, and there it is. Yeah, mops and all. Find himself falling. Tap away. Here we go. The last couple of rounds, it will be this time too. Last play, multi-kill. Able to find up some triple kill action.
Welcome back, lads. This might be the final game of our night. Eagle Eye is the place that probably Vitality could close everything on it.
Yeah, if you're
I
an
can
astute
see you
viewer,
laughing, bro. Why are
no,
you
no.
laughing?
Here's the
Come
thing.
on.
No, because we were talking about this. I was about to say, if you're an astute viewer, you've seen Nemesis play this game against Anubis yesterday, and you've seen it. I'm sorry, guys. This is the pugs that we play. This is not an organized game of Crossfire. And I know it was a game 5. It was a very long night. It was probably a barn burner of a series as is, but I don't think that they can bring that same eagle eye and have any hope. Unfortunately, Trav was there on the other side when we were casting the game. I said it was an uncharacteristically quiet game from Alucard, and he was actually turtling. The entire team really was turtling at times, and that cannot really be the case against Vitality. And you were saying, yeah, Vitality on paper has a 100% win rate on the map, but I agree with what you were saying on the break, is that it's not really the most convincing 100%. There were a couple of shaky games, even in Season 1, Eagle Eye wasn't their best map, but I would definitely say it is good enough to be this form of Nemesis. The only question is, the only man that can be the hero has got to be Comics on this one. Alucard, I think that he's going to be much better than yesterday, but Comics needs to bring whatever essence, whatever spark that he has brought yesterday back here today. And for that, we're going to send it over to the lads for what could be the last time. So Kyle and Trav, let's see if this is going to be our finale.
I mean, caster curses aside, I feel like it would be a huge miss for Vitality to let this one slip and go all the way to 5 maps. We joke about it a lot, but this is a team that is in their prime form. And honestly, Eagle Eye, I think, is one of the better maps we could expect for them to have in this situation too. You put a lot of other maps in the table here, it could be a bit of a different story, but I feel like Eagle Eye, out of all of the maps left, is probably one of the best options that Vitality could ask for when they're 2-0 up in a series.
Yeah, look, there are some unknowns, which I think the desk has rightly pointed out. Right now, Vitality, they played it twice and won it twice, right? But that's not a massive sample size overall. When it comes to Nemesis, sure, as well, they've had a much bigger sample size. They've won it a lot as well, but very rightly so as well. Going by what we saw yesterday against Anubis, I know it's map 5 of a BO5. Your brain's going to be discombobulated by that point of a day. But still, it was messy, and going by what I've seen there, it's going to have to be a totally different style of game they're going to have to play when it's Vitality. I'm not sure if they have that in them on Eagle Eye, so we'll see if that's the case or not. We'll see if this is the last map of the season or not as we go into game.
Well, here we go. Vitality for the 3rd time. Going to be starting on the GR side this time, though. Changing things up a little bit here, a little bit more spread out in the approach, not playing aggressive, but Nemesis, the opposite approach, kind of grouping up as a team for a quick A hit, it looks like, but already you can see Vitality starting to catch wind of where things may be heading here. Snake just playing a nice little passive angle on the mid doors, might even catch back off guard here, gets him right through the doors. That'll be a nice way to get the ball rolling for Vitality. The rest of Nemesis, though, going to be working their way over towards A. But Totson, 3 kills in a row. Why not make it a quad kill? What a way to start off this 3rd map.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's the Vitality we want to see on a roll in this 3rd map. Totson again finding a big moment. That's not the first time he's been able to do that over the course of the BO5 either. That one on that one, of course, as well. On sub base. Snare's going to find Alucard. He now knows he's got Big Comics pinned in the corner too. He's low HP. That's not the right position for him to be in. He's going to have to try and force his way forward. He's got no other choice, really. He's just going to get swung by Snake. There we go. He was a dead man walking, unfortunately.
Yeah, just a tough position now for Nemesis to be in. Already a 5-on-3 and already Snake kind of sneaking his way up here towards this A-long room as well. And it puts Comics in a bit of a tight spot, but instead it's actually going to be Snake who walks right past him. And be a bit awkward now for Beck, who doesn't even seem to know there's a player in between them. Comics thankfully able to trade, but unfortunately Snare right there on the other side waiting for that repeak. Leaves it all on to Dipsy, who's pretty much on the opposite side of the map here. All alone towards B, but the C4 is down outside of the BL spawn, and if you're Dipsy, you're going to have to do something pretty stellar here if he's got any hope of winning this one.
Yeah, it's the fact that the bomb is lost. That's the main issue. Like you've been saying. Always up against it, unfortunately. 50 seconds to try and make his way back through as well, which just doesn't feel that likely or comfortable in any way. Some kills for a bit of confidence would be nice, but Vitality are starting assertive on this GR side. And there's Horus peeking him straight off the rip. Nothing doing for Dipsy. And I think if Vitality go up 4-0 here, Nemesis will be calling their attack pause very early.
Yeah, it's a tough one for them. Unfortunately, just nothing to get the ball rolling here. It's a tough BL side if you're struggling to get control of A long, and 2 rounds in a row they've been shut down fairly early towards A, so it's going to be tough for them to find their new footing here. Right now, the strategy just seems to be sitting back in the midsection here and just kind of hoping there's going to be counter aggression. But if you're Vitality here, there's no need to take that risk. They're winning so many fights. Anytime there's an effort put towards A, that I think they're just going to continue to try and hold that card. And you can see, again, the utility being thrown in this direction. Nemesis, they really want to take this early fight towards the A bomb site, but you've got Snare and Totson who've just been locking it down completely to deal with it. Again, Totson on the other side of the box. This time, though, the intuition from Beck going to pay off. He finds the first. Horus on the repeat, able to sneak through, find himself 2, find himself 3, and again, the shutdown is there. Alucard left alone, trying to pick up the pieces, but he may have a chance here. 1v1 opportunity, but Slayer, as he's jumping off the top, able to find Alucard, and again, Vitality roll away with it.
This is just the difference in Vitality from the regular season to playoff Vitality. Like they're so good in the close rounds, so good at feeling confident to make the right move in these given moments. This one's not going all too well. Dipsy and Alucard have already found a pick, and Big Comics will make sure that Snake is traded. But still, like in those close rounds, we've seen it throughout the entire game so far. It's been so impressive. This one will be Nemesis getting one on the board as Vitality change up their tact and go super aggressive. I feel like it didn't even really need to change much, honestly, but they did and get caught out this time. Totson needs a tickle, and he will get a tickle to be taken down. Nemesis will finally get one, but it's still a long game.
Yeah, a bit of a shot in the dark there, just going for the aggro play. If there's one thing you could take away as a negative, though, from Vitality on today, their counter-aggression on the GR has been quite sloppy, I will say, most of today. Yeah. It's been their only glaring weak point throughout these maps, but when they sit down and play passive here, just take those anchor positions, they are a hard team to deal with on the GR. So, as we can see, kind of reverting back to that traditional setup we saw them kick off this first half with, so we will see them try and hold true to that. This time, though, Nemesis, they're going to have to play it a little bit differently. They've failed 3 times towards the A-bomb site. They've got to show at some point they can have a bit more presence to control the mid-stairs or even control the B hotel. And they seem almost afraid to go to that side of the map, and it gives so much power to these players sitting on these mid and A anchor positions.
As I said last night, Nemesis versus Anubis, it's a map that does lend itself to incredibly aggressive moves. Fast-paced. But I think the issue is for Nemesis is they can't play. I mean, it was mostly Anubis pressing the issue, it has to be said. But Nemesis can't play a style like that against Vitality all the time. It'll just be eaten up. It's going to have to be varied. That's why they're taking their time in this one a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of a unique setup this round from Nemesis. They're trying to bait out a pick towards A while slowly sneaking into B hotel, but this position Horus is in has been kind of the bane of their existence over towards this A bomb site. Just a player tucked away in one of these pocket angles on the right-hand side. So difficult to deal with when you've got another player playing on that anchor A top, and that's going to be Snare kind of looking for the bait and switch. Horus able to find the trade, but actually Nemesis for the first time winning the engagement early towards this bomb site. The problem now is there's still 3 Vitality players on this side of the map because they know the A push is coming. The Beck sneaks through the mid staircase and is able to get behind enemy lines before going down. Totson's still alive though. They know he's on the bomb site. They thought it was clear, and they clearly thought wrong here. There's 3 seconds. Totson just hides And that's it. It's over. Vitality again winning it. And I feel like more often than we normally see Trav today, we've seen so many rounds come down to just pure timing loss from Nemesis.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very true. And that one is, I was incredibly concerned for a second that Tottenham was going to peak for no reason. I felt almost guaranteed that in the comms and the Vitality camp, he was just yelled at. Hide, hide, hide. He can't get to the bomb in time. I almost refaced for no reason and died when there was 5 seconds on the clock, where there's no chance to get the bomb picked up and planted. But it's all good. He made the right decision in the end. And yeah, just a lack of time for Nemesis. They run down that clock a little bit too much again. Oh, both teammates actually, or both players, sorry, they're missing the shot. Dipsy and Snare will miss their opening sniper shots, and in the end, Dipsy gets out his pistol a bit faster. And Snare, though, still fighting for more. Oh, and Bex is wandering into the open. Again, looking so solid here. Our Vitality. 4-1 is about to turn into 5-1. With just 2 more players to find. Look at Big Comics cowering in the corner. And there's no way out. So forced back all the way into spawn. And Totson will get both of them. Once again being very important for his squad. And Nemesis will call in their attack. Now they're 4 rounds behind.
Yeah, I mean, Nemesis, there's just really nothing they've been able to do on this map so far. Their only round win is off the back of a really questionable mid push from the GR side here. So Vitality, aside from that round, they're really doing exactly what they need to. When it comes to playing the patient game, they're just playing it better and holding down these sites. But this just goes to show you the world of difference one player swapped in and out can make on your ability to execute. You can tell they're a little bit disjointed, a little bit more uncomfortable than usual, because when you think about a map like this, you think about Raffin being that run and gun player for them, constantly not afraid to take space. And when you lose that on a map like Eagle Eye, it can be a devastating loss in your ability to take space and push.
I think that is the best point of the entire game, and the map that I think as well, Nemesis will feel it on the most. Considering how much we've seen that over the couple of the playoff games where Raffin has played, especially last night, you know, pushing outside of A so often, getting multi-kills, being important for his team. That is not the kind of player Big Comics is. And who will be that player for Nemesis anymore? That is what kind of, I think, Volt brought up. Like, it's a massive difference to really consider and figure out. And that is just the main thing that's hurting them a lot, especially here and over the course of the entire series. Raffin is so important for them. When Raffin's having a bad game, it makes Nemesis look a lot worse. They had a pretty shaky regular season, it has to be said. I think they went 5-5, right, earlier on. So it's not like they're dominating in any way. It's not like they were a team that necessarily we thought was a guarantee to be in the grand final because of how maybe some of the individuals were playing, but in particular Raffin. There were a couple of game weeks he wasn't available as well, so he's just been very unpredictable this season, Raffin, on his availability in general. It hasn't helped Nemesis. The fact they even got to the final is fair enough for them, but the fact they're again playing without him is such a big factor.
Yeah, definitely going to be a tough one as they jump back into it, though. Vitality, massive lead to try and hang on to, but they've shown their ability to do it so far. Last time after the reset, we did see Nemesis make a pretty good push on the previous map, so we'll see if it's a similar story here on map 3, but a lot of it's going to come down to what decision Vitality ultimately makes, because the more aggression they've shown on the GR, the worse it's been for them pretty consistently in this series. And this time it is going to be a bit of a single player aggression. This time it's going to be Slayer caught alone. Nice little free pick there. Horse able to answer back, though, finds himself one. He's looking for more here. Bait and switch set up here outside of the hotel. Not really going to net them a whole lot here, but unfortunately, Snare, I'm not sure why he goes for that repeak as well, allows a second frag to go their way on the push, and now it is all on to Snake and Totson, but we've seen this duo here so many times, Trav. I'm still nervous for Nemesis.
I know, I feel the same. I don't really know, as you say, why Snare peaked. That's why he's peaking unexpectedly, because the teammate was just there. They tried to like share and bounce off each other by who was going to pick that angle first. But yeah, as you can see, they're still trying to fight for it, which is just crazy. Really going in again? Yeah, that's just too much. I know you're 2v3, but that's way too much. Totson will try and win another clutch here, which would be a 1v3, but look at this, they're already avoiding him. They're running through B over to the A-bomb site, making sure they don't get cut off by the Totson flank. So, correct decision made here. It's still winnable for Totson, as it so often can be, but this is the best position Nemesis have been in for a while.
Yeah, Totson here has to try and find a way to catch them off guard. The one downside to this position is they don't really have a good angle to catch him where he's coming from quickly, but someone does spot him on the shoulder peak. Totson, though, has a chance to lay down some fire. Beck kind of just sitting in the corner here using Comics as that solo player peak, but the problem they have here is there's a smoke screen and a chance to shut this down. He can actually defuse on the corner here relatively unscathed, and he's just going to go for it. Oh, Comics, though, he knows what's up, but there's just no time here. Totson is going to hold at the edge of the smoke, though, not enough to protect him. And Nemesis finally under the pressure of a post-plant situation, able to scrape by and get around.
There's only like a bit of a flash in the pan, though. Still feels very, very difficult for them. Done well there overall to make the correct decisions, and to be fair, it's good, but Vitality gifted them many, many fights outside B. Many, too many fights. So they'll know that the change-up they can use now. We've got 3 players in position, actually. Slayer on the line with Deep Sniper on this occasion, not Horus, who was in there in the previous round. Smoked off, though, for now. Nemesis know that might be a bit of a change-up, and they might look to try and fight from there again. So they'll look to fall back all the way to spawn and take their time.
Yeah, the problem now, though, here is look at the positioning from Snare and Snake. They have full mid control, full A long control. Nemesis now has no other option but to take these fights. They win the first round to Horus. Totson, though, going to go down as well, and Nemesis actually doing quite well to grab this, but does Nemesis make the mistake of doubling back into mid? They've spotted Snare, but they don't know Snake is on the off angle. Actually, going to be pretty crispy from them. Pick up almost everybody quickly there, win the round, and only lose Comics in the process. So Nemesis, after the pause, able to win 2 in a row, and again, we feel like Vitality, after these pauses, they're just kind of getting bested the first couple rounds back in the mix, so Nemesis really doing a good job of disrupting here.
Well, Totson is going to be able to get himself one again, but at the moment Nemesis is doing a good job of trading a little bit better in these last few rounds. They're staying as a group well, but maybe this one's a little bit too much for them with how far Slayer is pushed forward. That's exactly going to be the case. Card will be taken down. Dipsy is now 1v3, and he's very low HP. Snare will take him out. And again, there's a little bit of a rebuttal from Nemesis at the end of a half, but Vitality find a way to make it a bit more comfortable for them, and 6-3 will come to pass.
Yeah, Vitality looking good still here. A little bit of a hiccup after that tack pause, but they still recover in that final round. A 6-3 half, a lot better than a 5-4 at the end of the day. So they should be still pretty pleased with themselves coming out of that one. A lot of the plays, too, that lost them rounds were really not even Nemesis making the right call, just being a bit too overeager and overzealous on the fights. So if they can reel it in when they need to a little bit here, they'll be in, I think, even better shape going into the second half. But if you're Nemesis, this is the big question mark here. They've got their backs against the wall. 4 rounds is all that separates Vitality from closing the grand finals, and this is really where they've got to show what's left in the tank here. Do they have it in them to try and force another map and maybe take back this series?
It feels incredibly unlikely, but I've seen crazier things happen. Vitality, they are 4 rounds away from being champions once again. So very close, over halfway there on map 3 here. Already Dipsy will be run over by Snake. Comics needs at least one more from this position, or at least to try and waste time and force him into fighting Beck as well. And he's doing a very good job, Comics. In comes Beck, he's done very, very well to activate Beck on this one. Snare is now low HP, he's run down as well. We'll walk into Slayer finally, but look where big Comics is. It's an easy catch on the fallback, and that's a really nice one for Nemesis to win.
Yeah, great way to keep things a little bit closer at the start of the half. GR a little bit more comfortable for them on this map. You can tell. Look at that pop shot as well. Dipsy catches Snake getting a little bit of a jump peek there over the spawn wall. Unfortunately for Vitality, that means another round starting off on the back foot, and it's already looking a little bit worse for wear here in the second half. Dipsy as well playing a nice off angle On the side of the bridge, spots Snare, but Snare has no idea on the repeat he's going to be there. Totson almost going down as well in the trade fire. Dipsy just playing to perfection here in this one. Picks up 3 players outside of B. Slayer now left alone, but he's trying to do all the heavy lifting. Slayer already good for 2. Alucard knows exactly where he is, though. The collapse is slowly coming in his direction, and Slayer, unfortunately, has that perfect timing here. Gets a third. Surely not Slayer. He spots, I think, maybe even both players in the spawn, but the C4 being down here is going to make this extremely difficult. Alucard, he wants to take the gamble to take the fight before the C4 scooped up, but knows he's already a little bit too late to the party and has to go ahead and play it a little bit safer. But Slayer, in a 1v5 situation, this would be just pure insanity to win at this point.
They really would. And considering it, Nemesis have done such a good job at the beginning of this half, they just can't let another one of these type of rounds slip. Again, Dipsy's multi-kill there was incredible. That's sort of havoc he wants to try and create. Slayer, of course, has picked up the bomb, though, and he's got space to work with. He's now going to get it planted on B straight up, but it's a fake. A bit concerned that he's going to get pushed in through from A, but no, you've got way more time than you realise, Slayer. He's going to plant really open and try and push a bit further forward. Usually you see the very common after plant is to play on the stairs, where he entered the site from. This one's a little bit different. Surely, though, Big Comics and Alucard will be able to find him, and there's the information straight up. So, not going to happen. Nemesis will close the gap to 1. But a bit better signs here on map 3.
Yeah, not too bad here to kick off their second half. Unfortunately for Vitality, just a lot of early fights going against them. On top of that, you've got Dipsy really stepping up here to get these early entries. Slayer as well, eating a nade to start off this round. Takes him down to 42, and now they've got to rework this one a little bit more. And Nemesis, they're doing exactly what they need to, not getting too overzealous on these pushes, just anchoring safely and kind of doing a little bit of what Vitality did to them at the start of the first half. So I do like the call here, playing this one a little bit safer. Vitality, though, they're going to have to show at some point they can get a clean execute in here. They've been just struggling in the early fights so much here that it is starting to look a little bit worrisome.
We know Vitality, though, they can just turn it on out of nowhere as soon as an opponent gets close to them again. As soon as they make a good call, it can just file through and snowball for the opponent and for them. In a good way for Vitality and in a bad way for Nemesis. They're going to try and make the push up toward A right now. Dipsy, forward. Big Comics will get himself 1. That's a great time on the push from Dipsy. Again, he's proven to be a big factor. He finds 2. Beck and Comics will close it out. All of a sudden, 6-6. They're making a game of this.
Yeah, Vitality, again, just getting caught playing a little bit too loose in these mid holds. You can see it in the previous round. Comics, he was able to push all the way into the BL spawn before the Vitality push happened, which allowed Nemesis to stack the rest of their team completely towards the A bomb site. So Vitality, they just need to move a little bit faster if they're not going to have a complete lurk presence on this map. And you can see a slight adjustment already with that in mind. Totson now holding for that potential lurk out play. And they're going to see if that happens again here. So Nemesis, this is where they've got to decide if they want to push Comics through again or play this one a little bit more reserved. Instead, they actually stack 3 players outside of Hotel. I like this adjustment because Vitality, based on the last couple of rounds, I would say is more likely to put a pressure test towards this B bomb site early on, just given these A fights have not gone their way at all.
Yeah, Dipsy has been the main focal point for Nemesis too. He's got 6 kills ever since the half time, and yeah, he's been so important. So many multis as well, like in those certain moments too. Big Comet's waiting for contact. You can tell how Vitality are playing these rounds, just trying to feel it out, hoping Nemesis make a mistake, but Nemesis are refusing to change up what's been working for them. You know, stick themselves in their anchor position, stick themselves in the right position, and hope that Vitality run into them again. And already Alucard's found the first.
Yeah, now Vitality, they're kind of stuck in this funnel, and again, are they ready for the fast flank? This time, again, they're gonna fall victim to it. Beck, though, gets turned on, so at least a moment to breathe for Vitality to maybe get out of mid into B. It's going to be fairly exposed except for Dixon. He's playing the off angle on the bridge, but both players actually go down right away. This is massive for Vitality now. No exchange favored for Nemesis on that take. Now Big Comics and Alucard are going to be left to their own devices here, completely split off from one another, forced into the full retake. Big Comics, though, be able to spot Totson early. Totson, though, that's going to be huge if he can stay alive here. Just needs to stall. If he goes for the repeat, might run into trouble. Calls for the support, though. Horus able to trade right away. Now Alucard going to go for the fight. Snare 1v1, but Horus again, Trade King, gets it done. And Vitality still able to hold on to the lead.
There's Horus again, so damn reliable. And even though he was seen when Big Comics was working his way up on that big flank, it didn't matter. Like, that was the whole point of the big swing from Totson, to allow Horus to trade him, and it's worked on both occasions. Really, really nice job from Vitality there. That's what they're good at in the afterplants. And the fact where they broke into the site, to be fair, was really well done. Snare on the rifle, by the way, not on the sniper breaking in. Not had the best of last couple of rounds, so maybe wanted to change it up and play with the rifle, and it worked out well for him. It's only one round, and they're only in the lead very briefly again, because Alucard is fighting back. He's looking for 3. This is the Alucard we know and love. He's found 3 on the site. Can he get any more from this one? Confirm a 7-7 game. Comics caught off guard by Snake, though. Here we go again. Vitality have found space, and Snare will try and creep up and get something done. Dips in the other side of that smoke.
Tough one here, but Snare wants to win this duel onto Alucard. That's basically the round on the line. If Snare can find one or get out. They got the C4, though, so now they've got a chance to fall out if they want to. I'm surprised Nemesis just leaves that C4 for the taking, and now they've realized their mistake, but just a little bit too late here to run them down. Now the push is going to come through, though. Beck wants to take the fight. Vitality, they're just not ready for it. Snake barely missing getting that headshot against him. It's going to be Beck kind of regretting that one, as now there's a lot of information, but they haven't realized Snare is still in the tower here, and that is a lot of valuable intel now for Vitality. They can plant the C4 for this tower position, and they don't seem to be aware of it, but the C4 plant is stalled. Oh, so unfortunate there. If the C4 maybe gets planted, there's a chance Snare can win it from the tower, but now this is going to be a brutal one.
Yeah, no chance for Snare anymore, and it's a lovely swing from Dipsy to just destroy him. So now Vitality know they're in a bit of bother. Tac pause will come through. This game is not being closed out in a comfortable fashion that we thought it would. The half was solid, but ever since they went onto that BL side, they have not been having a good time of things. And fair play to Nemesis, they've really put the hammer down and tried to keep themselves alive in this entire BO5. Did not seem likely, but they're making it happen. And yeah, even in those sort of rounds as well, like, they're being really active in that previous round. Like, they were just running all around the map, trying to make sure they didn't allow any opportunity. Make sure they denied a plant. Made sure they at least had players in the right position at the right time. Reading what Vitality could be doing. And now pressure
honestly,
is on again.
Bit of a tough one on their hands, but I am curious what they're going to talk about during this pause timer, because so far it's honestly been so all over the place, I would say, for Vitality on the day. To be honest, like, you think about a world where Raffin is somehow playing this, I feel like this could actually be a Nemesis series at this point with where we're at.
I know. That makes you wonder, doesn't it? Map 1 definitely could have made the difference, because it was 10-8. Map 2, if there was a little bit more stability in some of those rounds where they were in a big advantage, that could have made a difference as well. Vitality were beatable today. I really feel like they were beatable today. It has felt that way. One day they won't win a season and we'll all be, you know, saying, oh, is the era over? But it might not be today.
Yeah, it's really going to be a tough one here from this point on. Nemesis, like, best case scenario, they still have to do this 3 maps in a row to win the series, which would be just an insane comeback with what we've seen so far. But As we return to the server, it's still all tied up here on map number 3, 7-7. Vitality, though, only so far in this half, finding one round. Does leave some questions on the table as we get out of their tack pause, what they might want to do, but I like this play call. 4 players quickly going to be rushing in here. Dipsy has no idea. Snake is already closing the distance here. Slayer as well. Quick on the lurk. Already up mid. They're not going to be ready for this. There's no one stalling Slayer on this safe position, and somehow only getting one out of that, but that may be enough. 4 on 3. Thompson just got one on the bridge. The smoke screen coming down, and the stall perfectly set up here for Snake on this off angle. Beck knows he has to try and make a move, but what is this from Snake? Somehow still getting the kill before going down, but Thompson needs to recover things. Comics trying to get a chance at the defuse. Unfortunately, that's just not going to happen. No way out of this one. Vitality able to come out strong after the pause.
I've seen cleaner rounds in the world. I've seen cleaner fights in the world as well. But the strategy to get them into that position to begin with, now that was really nice. The timing of which Slayer pushed up was really spot on. It couldn't have been better. And here we go. Now suddenly, Slayer is finally picked on the BL side when he wasn't at all earlier. Dipsy's going to go down. That will speed up Vitality all over again. And the difference in pace is the biggest thing here. Complex is in the open. She gets sprayed down by Horus. Again, it's not clean. And that is the thing that's keeping Nemesis in a little bit of a chance here. It's a 3v3. They may have got the B-bomb site, but Horus is all alone right now. Slayer took so long to come in and help out. And only now will he maybe feel a bit safer in getting the bomb planted. Now Slayer's got that line. Can the Horus even get away? That is the question. Alucard's going to run him down exactly. It just doesn't feel good at all here for Vitality. It might be in the round, but it's still so horribly messy. And they're going to get run down. Maybe Slayer can do it. Oh, with the pistol, though! Okay, then. Look, when you're waiting for some star power to show up, it's usually Snare, and guess what? He's done it again.
That is a make it or break it round, and unfortunately for Nemesis, that might be what just broke down their entire chance in this potentially final map of the series. Vitality, that is a huge momentum swing, and now you can tell we've got a little bit of a broken Nemesis to try and rebound here in these last couple of rounds. Snare takes the fight, and that is a huge opening pick already for Vitality. Comics, though, wants to take the challenge. Totson, though, going to be spotted. Comics has the advantage, gets the shot. Equalizes for the moment. Vitality trying to recover and not allow that escape. But Comics, he is already out of there. He knows that equalizing here is going to be a huge key to hold on to. But for Vitality, would not be surprised if B is the target. It's worked twice in a row. You can tell Dipsy and Comics are very aware of that, though, this time around. Dipsy able to find one. Horus, though, somehow going to be escaping with his life, but not for much longer. Dipsy just runs him down with the pistol. Slayer, though, already low as well. 18 HP. Snare really has to do a lot of the heavy lifting in this one, but Slayer, he's gifted the opportunity now. But look at the backstab. Nobody ready for back on the back lines here. And Nemesis, they're going to hold on for a moment longer, but is overtime on the horizon. That is up to Vitality now.
Yeah, here it is. Here is the moment. Overtime or bust for Nemesis if they want any chance of still playing in this grand final. Good moves in the previous round again from Beck. Always seems to be getting in the right position. Gibbs is in the open here, though, and Totson getting that opener. That could be the first step onto victory.
Ooh. Comics as well going down. Horus able to find himself another one here. Beck and Alucard, the two veterans of this roster, the last hope of the season potentially. But Beck, he's good for 2. Beck, good for 3. Thankfully, the trade's there. Alucard, though, he's been a clutch wizard for this team before, but can he do it with the season on the line? No, he can't. Snare puts this one to a close. A nail biter at the finish line, but 3-0 fashion is how they get it done. Vitality will be your Season 2 champions for CFWL.
And here we go again. It's Vitality all over again. Incredibly good job from them. They just always have that little bit extra in these moments, don't they? They always have the talent. They have the understanding of each other. They have the gameplay. They have the team play. And that's that. We have our champions all over again. Once again, Vitality are the kings of Egyptian Crossfire and the kings of the West League. Just way too damn good. Great try from Nemesis. But it's not to be with their standing situation today. Maybe a different world, it could have been something possible. So Yeah, they didn't play that badly considering the big comic stand-in, but I think they deserve that. They will be looking back at that game, even with the situation they're in, and thinking to themselves, "Oh, it could have been a little bit better." I want to end this season by saying thank you to everyone in production, because we've all worked long hours, but for them over in the Philippines, those are some tough days, and well, nights and early mornings as well. So shout out to Jarol, Colleen, Drone, SY, Yana, all the crew. Thank you to Kyle, of course, as well, and all the talent team I worked alongside with. I'll leave it to the desk to close out the broadcast, but as for me, I'm out this bitch. Cheers.
Thank you, Trav, and of course, what a great cast as always. And guys, history just got written. CFWL Season 2 2026. Vitality are your champions, and not only for this season, for the fourth in a row. And you have a GOAT on that team. Horus just claimed his throne and got his 8th title.
Yeah, some
What a way.
magnificent stuff from the Vitality boys. But this is very much like Subbase, where at the very end, it could have really gone either way, and individual heroics is the thing that carried them over. That pistol triple, I'm sorry, they had no business winning that round. Like, look, you can put all the analysis in one basket, and you can say that Nemesis, especially on the GR side, were able to play heads up a lot better, even when Hotel became a problem, even when the V-Slide became a problem. They were able to speed up that pace, and while Courtyard was something that they were never able to solve, at the end of the day, that X Factor was a difference maker. It was Tottenham in maps 1 and 2 at times. And in here, you would look at it, you know, you're talking about Horus, he had a couple of his rounds, but for me, that was the most important one, right? Like a 4K from Tottenham, getting the map off at the right pace. From there, they dominated for a little while, and it took Nemesis a couple of rounds until they were actually over that shell stock. And if it wasn't for that round, and then for that pistol triple that we'll see shortly, it could have been a very, very different thing.
I agree with you. It should have went a different route, and to be honest, Nemesis actually did good in that game, but don't get me wrong, Vitality were one step ahead of them, and they kept going, they kept finding. The boss actually iterated a lot of stuff, but at the end, it all comes to the champions to get the throne. And of course, I want to talk a bit more about the game, especially when I saw Vitality, when they're playing defensive, they're not playing shy, they're taking hotel control, they're contesting mid, they're trying to make plays on A, and guys, you need to chill down. You're not attacking to do all of that, and you saw their reaction, you saw Stray just pointing with his fingers. That's the 4th in a row, and you see how they're actually happy, and you see how the stats and how is everything, and yeah, looking at them, he had Dempsey played good, Alucard did the same, Beck as well, Big Comics being the substitute, playing not in his role, doing good comics also. He was shy for a little bit, but on the other side, Vitality, one squad, one team, one rule. They have only one thing, like, whatever the case, they are winning.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, when you look at the side of Nemesis, very good performance from Dipsy in this grand final, but it just wasn't enough, right? Same thing can be said about Alucard. Again, extenuating circumstances is definitely going to perhaps taint this grand final a little bit more than the other few, but don't get it twisted. They're able to be the full force Nemesis 3 times this year, so don't think the number 4 is going to be any different. And I guess for that, the rubber match is done for Alucard. There's still going to be one last face-off in the season when it comes to the CFS qualification, but for that, we'll have to wait a little bit, because for now, this is the time for celebration. Todson is the MVP of this map, very well deserved, I gotta say. While we do have a different match MVP, and I'll definitely say props to both of those men, for me, Todson was the most important man in the day. And if the MVP is given purely out of stats, I agree that there is a conversation for Slayer, who is our match MVP up next. I know I spoiled the surprise, but for me, I'm looking at Todson, and I'm looking at what he delivered on both this sub base that we kicked things off on, a couple of the difficult round here on the Eagle Eye, and even on map 2, Like, yeah, like look, like there were moments on the compound where you could definitely say that yeah, Snake and Snare had their moments, and there was a bit of a back and forth, and Nemesis remained competitive despite Big Comics being in the field. But
Hmm.
this was just such an important time for Tottenham to come alive, and I'm gonna have to know what you think about it, right? From the other perspective, like if you're thinking about it from the perspective of the match MVP, do you think it should be that? Because of course, no, there's definitely arguments
Nah.
to be made for any of the five to be the MVP of the day. To be fair,
To be fair, like looking at the stats, looking at everything, yeah, I will give it to Slayer. And looking at in-game actual impact, I would give it to Todson. But to overall, I will give it to Vitality. Not Todson, not Slayer, not Horus. All of them were the MVP. To bring back all of that to their side, to win everything, to be the champion for the fourth time, to play 6 finals in a row, not to drop a single one of them, and to win 5 of them is not by coincidence. It's not by giving like a one-man squad. We're not here playing as like one man. Like here as a team, it's a different story. You have Slayer. He plays with rifle. He plays with a sniper. You gotta give him that, and also Todson does the same thing. So those are the two flexible players that you rely on most of the times. At some maps you go with the Slayer, at some maps you go with the Todson, but in full responsibility, those guys been doing great. Those guys been winning, and at a certain point, like we had our doubts in Vitality. I'm gonna be honest. Back in the early season, we had some doubts, but they just shut us all, and they're like, "Yeah, whatever happens in the early season is from the past. We're here, we're winning, and
uh,
we're winning our fourth consecutive title." And I believe
here's
that.
the thing.
Speaking about the title, yeah, okay, tell me, tell me, tell me. Tell
No, I'm gonna say it. Like, here's the thing: doubts,
me.
sure, but there were never doubts that they are the best team in the league.
Of
It was
course,
just what they are
100%.
going to do when they actually get to the next stage. But well, they have been crowned kings, so you know you talked about it. The man that now is an 8-time champion. Perhaps a dynasty is built around Horus. So let's welcome him into the interview. First of all, congratulations on the win. Salam alaikum. I guess a historic moment for you guys, and most importantly, I guess a match against an old-time friend that maybe the circumstances is not going to be the most optimal. I think that you would have wanted to play against a full field Nemesis, but maybe you got a little bit lucky that Big Comics is here today because some of those maps were a bit dicey.
First of all, thank God for everything. Alhamdulillah. Second thing, for me, I was a little bit. Actually, I called Alucard and I said that I'm sad about that he's not playing with the full team. Because for me, anyway, I told him like because he's my friend, and I told him already that for me, okay, yeah, I want to win, and yeah, of course, it's advantage for me, but I don't want to win it like this. So I'm really sad for them actually about this, and I will still support them about the AWC also. So uh, it's unlucky for them.
Of course, it was pretty unlucky for them to not play with full roster, but guys, like you did great, you won the title and everything, and I believe I have a different question now. We had like our conversation or the competition versus Nemesis versus Unnights, TEC, like teams that plays in the West. Currently, we are heading to EWC. We're talking about Baisha, Stallions, ROC, Team Liquid, GK, Team Vicious, Falcons, a different story, different names, different atmosphere, and of course, you're going to Paris, so uh,
Mm.
like bring me to your head, like give me like how. I'm not asking you how does it feel, but
I got you. I
a
got you.
lot of questions, a
I
lot of
got you.
questions about vitality on this situation. It's a different conversation than the one we have in the West League.
I got you. I got you. Of course, the AWC is a whole different situation because already it needs a different or a special, even special preparation for all of us. Of course, this time we don't want just to take the top 8. Of course, we want like get more actually points for vitality. So we will work hard actually in these days. The job is not done yet. We'll maybe take 2-3 days off, but yeah, of course we will go back to work again. Uh, Actually, we will try our best because, of course, yeah, you said we will play like against another regions, and of course, it has another play style. But we don't worry,
Of
like
course.
we have a stray, so it will work.
You have the goat himself. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Like you guys deserve it. Of course. Another one for me. Also, Horus, uh, being the champion for 8 times. I mean, that's a big number. I believe. Alhamdulillah, of course, and everything. Touch wood here. I'm not trying to jinx you.
I
Of
got
course.
you. I got you.
Congrats on that. you
Too
know.
early to jinx. Too
I-
early to
I-
jinx,
I-
bro. Like they need to win an international first, then we can jinx them.
Okay.
Being the champion for 8 times sets a different goal, I would say that. And of course, winning 4 times in consecutive, I don't think that have never done before. And I would say the last time, the 3 times, you were the guy to have it. So I believe you're beating your own record at this point. So what's the new goal? Are we going for a different thing? Like, is it gonna be 8 times, 9 times?
It's
In a
already
row.
the eighth thing.
Not
It's
8 times,
already the
like
eighth.
6 times or 7 times in a row. Are you planning to do that, Horus? Are you planning to dominate the West for 10 more years? That's
If
another
only it
question.
wasn't for LCK, I think we would have done about 5 times in a row, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, our goal actually as a team by winning this tournament, this is the first time that some team, like any team, they took like the fourth in a row. Actually, was my goal literally, and my team goal also in this tournament. The next goal, of course, we will try still because we're already okay. We break it, but yeah, we need more, of course. So yeah, we will try to do our best still.
Well,
But
actually you have another goal. You have
okay.
another goal. You
Of course,
didn't
it's the
have
AWC.
the
Of course,
golden
it's
season. The golden season. Like you haven't had a one season without a
okay.
loss.
Actually,
That's
we did.
something. I
No,
just
wait,
wanted to
wait. No, we did
wait.
with ROC last year.
Yeah?
It was
Yeah, I
it was
about to
it,
say.
it was
Yeah.
16-0. We
16.
did
Oh,
this.
oh, oh,
Yeah,
oh. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
did in the last
I
year.
mean 1 year, not one season, 1 year. So
No,
that-
one
A
that's
whole
year.
it.
year without a
no,
loss.
no,
Like,
no,
what are you
no,
doing?
yeah.
Well, I mean, gender is definitely a consideration here. You know, talking about winners and losers, you guys have been at the top of the league for quite a while. So I think it's always gives you a very good perspective on the league. How do you feel about this year? Because, you know, we're talking about the first season, perhaps everything going according to plan. Then season two, the one that we're in, everything went awry for a supposed reason or the other, right? Like you think about teams like Unlights and the kind of season that they've had. Of course, the comeuppance of 3BL was expected. Nobody expected Anubis to be as good as they were. Nobody
True.
expected the season to be
True.
this competitive. So, do you think that this is a good sign for the league, that maybe the league is improving as a whole? Or
Of
do you
course.
think that maybe just turbulence that allowed some of the teams to sneak perhaps a position or two?
No, for me, of course, it's advantage for the whole tournament. I mean, for the whole league, because already, so in the season one, I already expected the maybe the scores of every team,
Mm.
but actually this season we're actually a shock about all the teams. I was shocked actually. So for me, I love this season more than the last season because already now you were talking about 3BL becomes the second in phase two. Actually, it was a shock. Actually, I like it, but it was for me. I didn't expect that. And also about TC going off the maybe they took fifth, sixth. I don't remember actually. Fifth or the sixth.
Fifth. They
Fifth?
won
Okay.
the
Oh, yeah, they
initial
do.
round of lower.
Oh yeah, okay. So for me it was actually it was a shock also because yeah because they were already they are a good team, but I don't know, maybe some problems about like inside the team, I don't know, but it was also a shock. Anubis also they did a great actually season this season, so I like it actually. For me, I need the competition, for you understand me, because already if
Yes.
if I keep winning without without fighting or without a competition, it's sometimes we lose the passion about we need to win. Every team right now they have the passion about winning vitality, but for me, I need this competition to get more passion about winning even more. So for me, I like it. I like it even more, and I want like all the teams to keep practicing and getting better. This is actually good for me also.
But I totally agree with you. It's always better
Mm.
to have a competition, someone that's trying to knock you off your throne and trying to give you like I don't want to say it like that, like a back to bunch, like to have
Mm.
like a fight, not have just like some easy ones. And I
No,
believe,
it in a good way. I
yeah,
need
yeah,
all the teams
of
to be
course, in a
better
good way,
for
of course.
real.
And you
Yeah.
need someone to try and fight you in the final, like to go to some different dimension and like go to
Mm.
like a different storyline. But of course, man, it's bro. Like I will always say that. Of course, Alf Mabruk. I will say this in Arabic. Alf Mabruk.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your win. Horace, any last words you would love to see and to the production, to your team, to your fans. Of course, that's following Vitality all alone back home in Paris. You're home now.
Okay.
It's not in
Guys, you
Egypt
should wait
anymore.
for us. We can't wait to see you actually, the guys in Paris, of course. And I want to actually thank my family. They supported me so hard the last days, and also my teammates. It was a really tough days about me the last 2 weeks, and they actually they stood with me like by my side by side, and I want to thank them actually about this. And also I want to thank the coach Srey about everything. Actually, he worked so hard, even more than us. So I do really guys, all of the team. We actually do appreciate what you are doing for us. And for all my friends, thank you for everything that you type for us. All the fans, thank you also for everything that you type for us. And that's it. Thank you.
Man, it's always a pleasure to have you with us on the broadcast. Thank you, Horace.
Thank you.
That one goes to you again, and we'll see you soon. We'll see you soon, man. And I
Best of luck
can't
in
wait
Paris
to
first.
see
Yeah.
this. Oh, of course, that's
Yeah.
the thing. Best of luck in Paris, and man, we need to see you guys in top 4 or at least in the finals. We're passionate about you guys, and good luck.
Thank you.
Inshallah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Horace. Well, that's it for Horace. Like I always love that guy. So humble, and of course they had a really good run. And he's a really nice guy. IRL. Like beside everything, like he would love to hang around with him.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's a really good thing for the Vitality team as well. The way that he was talking about the team, the way that he was talking about other people, there's definitely a sense of togetherness, even as competition, right? As
It feels
competitors.
like they have like his team is more of a family.
Yeah, no, but I
It
wasn't
feels
even
like that.
talking about just the team. I was talking like, hey, like the call that he was speaking about with Alucard. That's something that like top quality acts only would do. Not something like Djokovic would do. Sorry, Trav. I know that you're gonna hate me for that, but hey, like it is what it is for the season. Of course, congratulations to both Nemesis, Vitality, and now confirmed at the third spot, of course, to be Anubis at EWC. And well, we will have to wait and see who else is going to join them in the regional finals, because outside of those three and TEC, we're gonna have to wait and see through the regional qualifiers who's gonna make it to the regional finals, who is going to make it at the end of the year in the winter, 2 stars to the final destination of the year. And for now, though, everything else is at a very good position for at least the West League. For the Open League, a couple of slots remain at play, and that perhaps is going to be another intriguing point of view. From what I do remember about the Open League, though, if I am not mistaken, I believe that grand final is between Havoc and the winner of Triple Nine and Everest, if I'm not wrong. Maybe Triple Nine Everest is already played, but that's the one that I don't know about. But for us, that is pretty much the set of the scale. When we come back in September after EWC, you're going to be seeing those 12 teams later down the line. We're going to be starting later in the year, and from there, everything is perhaps going to return back to the cutthroat fashion of the regional qualifiers, right? We've seen teams get massive upsets in the regional qualifiers, and I'm so excited to see how things are going to pan out with teams like Unlights still really hungry to prove themselves back later down the year. Someone like Famous, I think that he would never want to miss going back to China, to where pretty much all began for him in terms of his international appearances. And of course, for EWC, as we have confirmed now, the three teams, and I think that things are going to be pretty good for the case that we have, right? Like, I think I'm pretty happy with the representatives. With, of course, Raffen back in the fold for Nemesis, they're going to be much more dangerous. But I think that Vitality definitely, as Horace has said, and as pretty much the entire of the team have echoed that sentiment, it's all about making an even deeper run than what they have at the last EWC.
Yeah, their goal is more points. They wanna get into uh, having more and more things under their name. They had, like, at a certain time with the 3BL, a position that they made it into the top four back in 2023 or 2024. I'm not correct, to be honest, with the year, but they wanna get more of that. That was back in CFS summer. I believe that. And
Yeah.
for them it was something very, very big. And of course they're planning, everyone is watching, everyone is waiting to see everything how it goes in Paris. And speaking of Paris, we have a lot of stuff for Nemesis, a lot of things for Anubis, and for them to being the third representative for the league. It was a shocker for most of the people, and for us it was very, very important to see new faces up on the scale. And for the last time this season, Volt, would you love to say any last thing for this broadcast? This is the final day of CFWL, so we're
Look,
gonna
man,
say anything that we want to say.
I've only had a
Yeah.
guest appearance last year. I was on the desk. I didn't even have much of an interaction with the caster side of things. It was a very fun guest appearance. I was actually like tuning in to the 2025 stars, and it was such a fun experience to watch the teams and perhaps how competitive they could be. I was really looking forward to how far we can go. That it ended up being the case, but I think that this year is going to be a lot more entertaining and a lot more convincing for the West League, for the teams that we've had. And for that, I guess I'm really happy for this to be the debut of mine here at Crossfire. It was a pretty fun one at that. Of course, a massive thank you. I've got to go to the rest of the talent crew. All the credit goes to the production and everything that has gone this season. But yeah, like I am just really happy with the crew that we've assembled. I think that we've all have done some amazing work. Like people that aren't here today, when I'm thinking about people like Laz, who else? Like Laz, Elfish, Penguin, of course, Pando. So it was a pretty fun season all in all. And I'm really, really looking forward to the regionals and how things are going to go down later in the year.
Yeah, hopefully we see more things later on the year. And like it's always pleasure to cast with you, to sit alongside you, Volt. Like we have been casting together for, like, I don't know, 2 3 years, maybe more. Like we've known
More or
each
less,
other.
yeah.
Yeah, more like in that category. And for me to be here, it was like a pleasure to me. At I would say season one, I was mostly hosting the event, but on season two, I got like a little bit of a touch when it comes to casting. And man, like when I get into the dirt, I love it. I love to be in that position. I love to cast with I love to cast with you, with Trav, with Kyle, and I had a lot of really, really good experience through the entire year. It was a roller coaster for me, but I would say at the end, I really love how it really panned out. And of course, I wanna thank TNC, like the whole crew, Kalini, Jirol, and we have like a lot of people that's beside this stream to actually bring this product to life. Of course, SY, you have like we have a
Yeah.
lot of
And
folks
here's the
actually
thing,
working
you
that.
know, like some more names, just not to forget anyone, like people like Scriv and Neo that were here in season one. And I guess most importantly, out of everyone, the biggest is thanks to all of you guys who have tuned in to the product all year, have enjoyed the best of the West, and we hope to see more of you guys later down the line. So with that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And without any further ado, for one last time for the West League, we'll have to bid you all goodbye. So good night. See you soon.
but he wants to choose. Oh, it's gonna be that 50-50 here. You don't check him from up above, and he is gonna rain. Now on the right angle, should be able to find the multi-kill, and there it is. Yeah, mops and all. Find himself falling. That's another Matthew. Tap away. Here we go.